be full screen.
The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, live now.
Don't know, Mike. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, everybody. He's a macho. Now that you're listening to Mike Trash, TrashTalkingRadio.com. The best in the business. Say it's a macho.
Wrestling fans throughout radio land, listen to Trash Talking Radio at TrashTalkingRadio.com. Every Tuesday from 7 to 10 o'clock, you hear guys like myself, so you gammon Dan Kamala. That's my face.
Talking radio show from 7 to whenever we get done. It's like using a screwdriver. This is whenever time the other half of the rock and wrestling connection. That's the top one and the loose one together. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ivan Kolab. I'm here to tell you about Mike Talking Trash. That's right, 7 to 10. Tuesday night, you got to listen in. It's the best around, the best in town. Mike Taylor, the animal, one half of the welcome and taking the world where you're looking to go. And you know it's good to hear the Trash Talking Radio, or else.
Everybody, you're watching Trash Talking Radio. This is Hulk Hogan. What do I say about Trash Talking Radio? I'm going to say that I just love Trash Talking Radio. You know how it thinks you do. This is my show, and you better watch this. What you going to do? You're Hulk Hogan's brand new Trash Talking Radio. What's wrong on you?
This is the Vital Idol, and you're listening to Trash Talking Radio every Tuesday from 7 to 10 on TrashTalkingRadio.com. And remember this, when the Vital Idol tells you, it's got to be true. And when it's on the internet, it's got to be real. It's Trash Talking Radio every Tuesday from 7 to 10. I am the top of pop, the king of swing, the international rock star way above par, the host with the most, Mr. Tuesday Night, the Vital Idol, Classy Mike Trash, and thank you very much. Trash Talking Radio Tuesday night. It's the best night of the week, and as soon as I get my wasn't quick enough. You know, that's what she said, right? Oh, wait, that's not what she said. Let's see if I can do it this time. Oh, I can't do it again. I didn't do it again. I didn't do it right again. Well, first off, I'll put our videos up. How about that? I'll put our pictures up. Let's see. There's this button here. Let's see if it came up. Yeah, okay. You can't lean that way. I won't see you. Well, maybe you can if you want. I mean, no, not you. Not. I got one more person I got to give this to. Wait a minute. Let me back this up a little bit, and then I'll introduce our guest. Let me see here. Okay, that's it. That's the one thing. Missed it. I missed my call twice. Missed it.
See if I can miss it 3 times. There we go. That's it. Okay. Now I'll bring you back over. Oh, now, did we just screw up your everything? No, we didn't. Okay, good.
Headphones.
Okay, whew, that's close. All right. Oh, I still need to give this one last person an invite. If I don't invite my sister, she's going to get mad. It's good to have a sister. She's probably already in the chat room. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. Because she's usually first in the chat room. All right, now let's go back to the chat room. Okay. Oh, I'm out of the picture. How about that? Gotta get back in the picture. Hold on. I'm looking up in the sky. Oh, there I am. Okay. Okay. For those of you that don't know, which I think that's probably everybody because you've never not been on the show before, I want to introduce Stacy Rasky. Did I say it right? Hello?
I gotta unmute myself. Yes,
oh, you muted yourself. You didn't have to do that.
I was one of those polite guests,
That's
that
very nice
like
of you.
mutes myself while I'm over here, Just,
oh, you know what? They didn't see any of that. Damn it.
Yeah, they did.
It didn't. No, it didn't. For some reason, it didn't pop over. It's doing something weird. Oh, okay. It's doing something weird. It's looping. That's what it's doing. Okay, let me unloop.
Oh, the background video.
Yeah, the background video is looping between 2 screens, between the nice curtain and then the background. So it's.
Oh yeah. Giving people a seizure.
That gives me credibility all the way. Yeah. All right.
It's only a radio and video show. Nobody's a professional here. It's okay.
They don't pay me to be professional. So anyway, so she's a motivational speaker. And what else? You had said, what other businesses do you have? You said you had some...
Yeah, I was going to say I'm definitely not motivational.
You're not motivational? Unmotivated speaker.
No. Yeah, I am more experiential and, behavior modification. It's...
But that's motivational.
Too many people get attached to this need for a state of motivation, which is total BS. Being able to self-regulate through not feeling like it, which is the bulk of the time, and having self-mastery skills to, ensure you're taking the right action and behavior. But I digress. So, speaker, yes. Author, yes. Iraq War veteran.
Yes.
Strategic advisor for businesses. A lot in the integration of your brand, your culture, your teams, your tech, leadership, optimizing performance and profit across the board. I have a systems and automations agency. I'm writing my next 2 books right now. And, I like to do interesting things like scuba dive and ride my motorcycle and, travel and cool stuff.
She's a real man. She rides a motorcycle.
I didn't know it was a gender bias thing.
No, I don't ride motorcycles.
Just badass all around, right?
Yes, yeah. You're the kind of woman that I'd be afraid to disrespect. Well, I don't disrespect any women on purpose, but
You know the rule about digging, Mike?
Stop
when you dig too deep?
Yeah, well, too late.
Yeah,
I'm already in the ground.
Thing, right?
I'm already in the ground there, so it's it is what it is. But all right, well, let's talk about you a little bit. So tell us a little about your upbringing. I mean, did you have a normal upbringing? Did you have an abnormal? I mean, like for instance, me. I was born in a. I lived in a 4-room house when I was up till I was 14. We didn't even have running water. We had an outhouse. The whole works. And you wouldn't have expected that at my age that would be the case. But that was the case, and that formed my whole outlook on life, because I'm always afraid of being that again. So, what was yours like?
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm in all of the veterans that I've met, and also in leaning into and learning from my own, childhood trauma story. I don't think anybody that joins the military, or the bulk, I can't say anyone or everyone, right? But the bulk of the people who have a tendency to join the military we are escaping
Yes.
something, right? There's something that we're leaving, that we're searching for safety and structure and stability that the military can provide, right? And
Okay.
obviously you've got your kind of generational people and different things like that, but they tend to have that tendency to go to like officers and the colleges and the schools and things, right? But for the rest of us, and so for me, it was moving around a lot, divorced parents, growing up in abusive household, the other one, alcoholic, and, really I was self-parenting.
Okay.
Probably by the age of 8 or 9.
Did you have both your parents? Were both were your parents together? Were they divorced? Were they split up?
No, they were divorced very early. Like
Okay.
when I was 2, they split. My dad remarried, and in that household, it was very, very toxic. A lot of abuse and aggression and violence and just intensity on that side. And then my grandma, my mom's mom, lived with us, and so we moved around a lot, so there was a lot of just instability there. And there was stability with my grandma living there full time, but she was also an alcoholic.
Oh.
So, there was some instability in that sense. And then my mom was a cop, so it was shift work and things like that. So really, I was just kind of doing a lot on my own.
What kind of cop was she? I mean, she wasn't a street cop, or was she?
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Was she like a gun-toting?
Yes, she was a police officer in
Really?
every sense of a police officer.
I mean, I'm just surprised
gender
because
normalizing here.
well, it's not that. It's just the time frame that you were growing up.
Yeah.
That was abnormal, wasn't it?
I mean, there was other women on the force. It wasn't like
I
she
mean,
was the only one.
She was a crime fighter. She was out there busting crack houses and pulling people over for speeding.
Yeah, she was just a regular police officer. Not like a detective or anything like that. Eventually, she did go Secretary of State Police.
That's great. I mean, what time frame we talking? Maybe I'm just thinking
80s.
Yeah, that's pretty early. I mean,
she was a very, very revolutionary in stepping outside of a lot of gender norms, for sure, in that time period. I think there was, not that she was ever the first one, but she definitely was that, going against the status quo and a lot of the norms. She did start as a dispatcher, but eventually she's like, I can earn more and do more and impact more as a cop. So
that's badass too. I mean, you're not gonna back talk to her.
No.
Little girl, I'm going to put you in handcuffs.
But what was interesting about that, with her being a cop who's all about safety and structure and enforcement of the laws, there was 0 rules and structure at home.
Okay.
So that was part of that self-parenting. There was a 0 lack of boundaries or accountability or consequences.
Where were you brought up at? What state?
So this was outside Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, a Midwest girl.
Yeah.
So my whole family was pretty much all around Chicago.
Okay. So. All right.
Until I was 13, and then she decided to move to Alaska. So
why Alaska? That seems so weird.
That was right at the peak of Northern Exposure, the television show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it very much romanticized the life of living in Alaska. I mean, I always make the joke, I love my mom dearly. We have a great relationship now. However, when they're like, wait, why did you move to Alaska? I'm like, because my mom was a runner. And they're like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, she ran from her problems.
Wow. Okay. All right. Now, that makes sense there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody who moves to somewhere like Alaska, Hawaii, Florida, why do they do it? They're running from their problems. They're looking for something external to fill the thing they're avoiding, the work they're avoiding internally.
Okay.
Right?
I never thought of that, but that makes sense. That totally makes sense. I've never been a runner per se. I've had my share of problems, but I didn't run from them. I just kind of ran at them, I think.
Well, it's running from them in a combination of also running to a fantasy, right? I think there was this sort of fictional fantasy of what life would be like up there, and that was definitely not the case. And what was interesting, which, you know, obviously hindsight being what it is and being able to reflect on how these things affected me, is leaving, even though we had a huge sense of instability in my childhood in our lives, that we still were in the same general vicinity. We had extended family around. So there was some sense of normalcy and community.
Okay.
Even though it wasn't tight knit. But then moving to Alaska, we had nothing. So now I have no home, no friends, no family, no nothing. And then 3 years later, she's ready to move. And I'm like, I would love to finish. Actually, it was like 2.5 years later. I'm like, I would love to finish high school.
Okay.
Like in the same school. Like start and finish. Because as much as we moved, I was always changing schools, right?
I was always, I think I went to the whole school system the same from beginning to end. What about you?
Beginning to end.
Okay. See, that's.
So you guys had the same friends? And
I had no friends. I had no friends.
Okay. Well,
I still am looking for friends. I'm hoping you'll be my friend. I mean, the closest I got is Doug, and that's scraping the barrel.
Pays me.
That's scraping the barrel. Do you have questions? If you do, just give me
Yeah. When we get there, for sure.
Yeah.
But at in the middle of my junior year, she decided she wanted to move like 10 hours away, and I was like, look, I just want to finish in the same school. So I don't want to move. And she's like, okay, well, I'm still going. So I ended up spending the rest of my high school time couch surfing with friends to finish high school.
Oh my gosh.
Really, you know, I've been on my own really since 16.
Wow.
And so a lot of people would assume that I immediately joined the military, but I didn't. It was so ingrained to go to college that I did for a couple of years, was like, I don't know what I want. This is a waste of time. Then took a few more years off and then joined the Army at 22. So.
Hi, Ann. How you doing? This is Stacy Rasky. She's our guest for the night, and those of you that came in later. All right, so you were. That's kind of interesting. I could not even imagine dealing with living with friends' parents. Although I had friends living with my parents at points, because my one partner in my one business. Rich from Rich Guitar lived with our family for, I don't know, it was probably a couple months, but yeah, that's, I guess I see that as, I can't totally say I don't understand it because I lived it, but I lived it from the other side. And I didn't want him to move out because he was a good guitarist and I wanted him to play in my band, and he did end up playing in 2 of my bands, and then he ended up being my partner in this business. So we do custom guitars. And it's kind of an interesting business to be in. So,
Stacy, what was your MOS?
So it used to be, when I enlisted, it was 54 Bravo, which is, you know, NBC. Right. So I think it's 74 Delta now, something like that. I don't know, but I would say it's NBC.
I was a 54 Bravo too.
He was a 54 Bravo.
Yeah, during the Gulf War.
Got it.
You were in the Gulf War too, right?
The second one.
Second one. I was in during the first one.
You were the first. Okay. When was the first one, and when was the second one?
First one was in the late
91.
80s.
Okay. All right.
91, 90,
Yeah,
80,
something
90,
like that.
91, 92.
Yeah,
And then mine was 2003.
Yeah.
Okay.
2000.
If Saddam Hussein would have had chemical weapons, I'd have been on the front lines. But he didn't, so I didn't go.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate.
For us, I ended up being in the Army's only biological warfare detection unit. So when 9/11 happened, and then the anthrax was mailed to the Pentagon like a couple days later, we ended up deploying to Ground Zero, DC, to clean up the anthrax and stay there for another 3 months, testing and everything around, inside Ground Zero, in the crash site, around, inside, the whole thing.
He was at Ground Zero too.
In New York.
You two have a lot in common so far.
So far.
And
I was with the different type of army, though. I was with the Salvation Army. That's where I was a minister for 20 years.
Nice.
Yeah, he went in there after the
planes.
But he consoled the people that were working, and he did a lot for them. When we met each other in college back in Stone Age, and actually I looked up to him, and I considered him, he doesn't know this, I considered him a mentor, and I considered him, I wanted to be just like him, until I found out what just like him meant. And I was glad.
And now look how you turned out.
I blame you.
Your ministry is through music.
My ministry, actually, yes. I did all the things that everyone told me I couldn't do. My family told me I couldn't sing. My friends couldn't believe I was going to try, and everyone kept telling me not to do it. And of course, that means I'm going to do it. And my first band was.
I have the same mindset.
My first band was called Gasm. Is it live? Orgasm. And it was the most obnoxious band in the world, and it was so much fun. And I felt like I'm going to be. This is going to take me to the top. I'm going to be the next somebody. But I wasn't. I didn't become the next somebody. And then I had lung surgery after that, and I couldn't sing for. I thought I wasn't going to ever sing again. But then one day I woke up and my voice was back, and I was like, oh. I really thought I sounded like the Godfather. I was going to give you an offer you can't refuse. And one day I just woke up and I talked to somebody. I said, "Ooh, that sounds like my voice." And then I decided to go in another band. So from then on, just evolved into nothing. No, I shouldn't say that, because
all the things.
I've had a lot of fun. I'm just glad that I had taken that step to do it, because I can say I did it and know that I did. A lot of people don't believe the things that I've done, because I've done so many different things.
Oh, right. I get that. I mean, even by the age of 18, before I'd even joined the military, people were like, "Oh my God, you need to write a book about your life."
Yeah.
Okay.
So you were in the military. How long were you in the military?
So I enlisted originally for 4 years, but I got hurt in Iraq, so I was medically discharged right over 3.
Okay. How long were you in?
8 years.
8 years, really? Wow. That's so little I know about you anymore.
Well, I'm glad I could deepen your relationship.
Yes. Yeah, Doug is a really cool guy. He's been through a lot too, and I think that might be even a bond that we have too. Is we both, even though most of our stuff doesn't overlap, we've been through a lot of weird, crazy stuff, and
the reason I didn't make the military my career was because after the first Gulf War, people were coming out looking for slots with a lot higher rank than I had. And so there was no room for promotions.
Oh, wow.
So I took my cue and exited.
Yeah.
But it would have been a 20-year thing if I would have had my way.
So what was after the military?
So because I got medically discharged, they paid for me to go and finish my degree. So I crushed 4 years of college in 3 years, even as a non-traditional student, because at that point, like as soon as I got back, I married my fiance and got out and kind of moved up to be near his family so we could be all close together while his son was growing up and we could be active parents. And so it was really interesting because as soon as I got out of the military, all of that structure and safety and mission and purpose that's given to you because it's external goes away.
Okay.
And now you have to start learning to do that for yourself, and it's a struggle. So the first step was kind of easy because I went back to school. So a lot of that structure is still kind of given to you. It's regimented. You're getting all this external validation of grades. And I start hiding in the just study. And so needless to say, I ended up graduating valedictorian.
Wow.
As a non-traditional student with my degree in biology. But it came at a high cost. Like the cost started to become this relationship with my husband, not realizing it's all this unresolved crap that I'm just hyper achiever, over performing and chasing all of this external validation. And it was really interesting. So right out of that, I got recruited into big pharma, and I was a pharmaceutical chemist for 7 years.
Ah, wow, that's pretty big. I was just gonna make fun of your biology degree. I was just gonna say, how's that going for you? But now
Actually, it comes in really, really handy.
Yeah.
Because I can explain the science, I can explain the spirituality, I can bridge the gap for a lot of people that I don't have to articulate the woo, the things people label as woo, because it's just, leveraging spirit and the energetics of the universe, and presenting it with the science behind it, and bringing this perspective that everything is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, social, professional, like all the different things, environmental. And if you're not addressing all of those at the same time, you're constantly going to be hitting plateaus or new level, same devil, or you're going to be really struggling to hit the success, and it's going to be really hard. And so, as a massively recovering control freak of every form, because I was trying to create safety through control.
Okay.
And so that's everything that I talk about now. And doing it in a really balanced way was me, as my own first client, accelerating my results personally, in my marriage, in my health. I mean, I've lost half my body weight.
Well, I was just gonna ask you about that, because you had ballooned up to a bigger person, and you were not really happy with yourself.
Well, it was the physical manifestation of the emotional and spiritual burden. So when people are like, "What did you do to lose the weight?" I'm like, I changed who I was being in my life. Nobody likes the answer, but that's the truth.
I was 468 pounds.
I know.
And
that is an amazing transformation.
I was 325 from 2001 till 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. And then all of a sudden, a death, which was pretty pivotal for me, because Ken and I had been playing in a band together for 37 and a half years. And the last band that we were together in was 30 years. And we put out a CD. I actually retired early from business and decided I was going to do music full time. And he was on board, and I was on board, and we were a local band that was able to do 4 sets of original music, because we wrote so many songs. And then he got COVID and died. And that changed my whole shift, because now I had nothing. I mean, I had things, but I had prepared myself to do entertainment for the rest of my life, and music, which I had been doing for 40 years. And it would have been, that was my fantasy, to do music for a living. And all of a sudden...
Well, and probably to do it with him,
yes,
too.
Yes. And my life was wrapped around my music. And I hadn't done cover tunes in a long time, because we were doing so many originals. And we had some good music videos that I put together, and everything was going the right direction. Except he left the band. I would have rather he quit the band, but because then I could at least be complaining about him. But I can't complain about him, because he was a genius. He was a musical genius, and I miss him so much. He did so much for my mental well-being, and he's one of the 2 people in my life. Actually, I have more now, but at that point, there were 2 people in my life that believed in me, and there were 2 people in my life that supported me. And it wasn't my family; it was him and my wife, who had died in 2014. And so I had to rethink about, like, I retired 2017 or 2018, so I was all about the music. So I know I totally understand the point that you're at, where you're like, wow, I got to switch gears now. Now I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. So I decided to do acting. I don't know why I decided that, except that I wrote a script in 2006 about our kind of about our music. You would have an episode of a show, and the first episode was about somebody losing everything and building himself back up, which is essentially what I did. But it was called Start Not the End, and it's the first cut on our album. And so I wrote a story about that, and at the end of the show, you would see that story encapsulated in a 3-minute video with the song that it's associated with. And that was my idea for being, taking our band to the next level. And then it became, there was no band, because, and I was floundering trying to figure out where I was going to go and how I was going to go on. And I stumbled in, I did a couple acting things before, and I just decided I was going to investigate that side. And little by little, I hadn't done any music for like a year, or was it 2? No, a year. And then I decided a year later I was going to try and do something with music again, and that's and then I found a band this year, and they're really, really, really good, and they're if I had to change directions and it had to be doing other people's music, they're the right people, because they're all around my age and we have similar goals, and except they don't want to do originals, but I do, but it's kind of a challenge, because it means I've got to once again retool my mind to where I'm going and refocus. So what was the next thing that happened after okay, so now you're with your husband and you're going through issues and you're adding weight and stuff. What happened now?
Well, the weight was really the consequence of just this progressive rejection of my own calling and purpose and what I wanted to do. I built this life that checked all the boxes of the American dream.
Yeah.
But that was my prison.
Yes.
And to compensate for that was a whole lot of self-soothing and self-medicating in unhealthy ways. Work, drugs, alcohol, social media, television, all of the, and it, mostly food, to stuff the feelings and self-soothe. And that was the, stuff that I learned growing up. We don't talk about our feelings, but we sure as heck can eat them.
Yes.
Right? I think it's a lot of us, or we can, numb them with candy or alcohol or, whatever it might be. And, and even at the darkest parts, self-harm. It was a lot of, eating disorder and different methods of self-harm and self-abuse, which is really interesting as I've dove into understanding that, where there's a lot of socially acceptable, like really acceptable ways that people actually self-harm and self-abuse, but they don't think that's what they're doing. They think it's just deprioritizing self-care. And I'm like, no, you're really abusing your body,
right,
by doing these things, right? And so yeah, it's been an interesting journey. So over that, 7 years was just this slow adding on of that burden, and just it hit until this rock bottom moment, which was almost exactly 10 years ago.
Wow.
We're about a month out of 10-year anniversary of that rock bottom, and because it was right between Christmas and New Year's, and I'd already lost my corporate career at that point because my health was so bad. And so between the PTSD and all the autoimmune issues and all the stuff, I was walking with a cane. I had braces all over my body. I was on like long-term disability at that point.
Wow.
And then
you were pretty young at that point too. I mean, at
35.
Yeah, that's
35, 36.
pretty,
yeah. And so
Hi,
it was
Christine.
really this big breakdown, because I get in a fight with Jeff. Our marriage is pretty much in shambles. It's like hanging by a thread. The sense of identity attached to my professional career is this, in this corporate world, was gone. I have really no sense of self at all. And we got in a fight, and I just go into the kitchen and I'm just bawling my eyes out, and I start reaching into the cabinet, grabbing the food, just shoving it straight into my face, chasing it with a bottle of booze. And, I can taste the tears and just the snot's rolling, and it's just this huge void that I'm trying to fill. And I stop for just a second and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? And for the first time in well over a decade, I got the answer. And it was, oh, honey, you're trying to make yourself look as ugly on the outside as you feel on the inside because you hate yourself. And oh, by the way, you made this.
Mm.
And that was a
Wow.
massive blow, right? I always say it was my bitch slap from spirit to really see the truth of who I was being.
Okay.
And it was a huge pill to swallow, that moment of absolute misery. And this was the moment that I decided to really end my life. This was my suicidal moment. The last one, we'll say. But what was interesting from that initial hit, I wasn't ready to take it, which is why I started sort of like, okay, well, there's zero reason for me to be here. Thankfully, I passed out before my plan was perfect. That's how type A I was, and all my fellow control freaks find that amazingly hilarious. But when I woke up the next day, I had immense clarity, and I took the lesson as the simplest statement, which is, I'm done trying to control anything other than myself. And that, like a light switch, was the catalyst to accelerating and activating me in moving forward in learning to build a relationship with the one person I never knew how to, and that was with myself. And that reopened me up to the spiritual growth that I'd cut myself off from a really long time. It opened me up to my entrepreneurial dreams and desires to live my purpose and help others in their own transformation journey, and really honoring the story, because my story is not about me, it's about everybody else.
It's a very powerful story.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, a lot of people don't understand the eating yourself, drinking yourself into happiness, because there's, I mean, there's something that I didn't understand, that I had a problem. I never had a problem with drugs, never had a problem with alcohol, because I was totally anti-alcohol, because my family was alcoholic. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My cousin, who I was really close with, when in the military, he was an alcoholic. He came out of the military and he couldn't find help, and he ended up killing himself. And he was at that point, closest person that I knew. And that was very devastating to me, because he wanted me to go to the party that he ended up dying from, and I didn't go, because he was already drunk when he came by to pick me up, and I said, I'm not going to ride with you. I can't do that. And yeah, I mean, it just that turned me off to alcohol. I was never a smoker, but food, you can't get away from food. You can go as long as you can go forever without alcohol. You can go forever without drugs, but we gotta have food to live. Mm-hmm. And it's easily accessible, and it's legal. So I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because, like, I realized a lot of it was never chasing pleasure. It was never chasing happiness. It was simply self-soothing in the moment of just changing the state of how I felt, which even got into like the self-harm and self-abuse. It's like literally to feel something else. Right. So, if you eat that much food to where you're so full that you're like, oh, I can barely breathe, right? At least it's a different sensation and it's a different experience.
Right. Yeah. I
as we go into Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit too, but we'll talk about that too. But the thing about that is that I never realized that was my drug of choice. Even though I was big, and I should have known that, and it just, my drug of choice was to eat, and I kept thinking, well, you people will drink yourself to death. I'm just eating, but little by little, I got less and less mobile, and to the point where, I could see no way out. But there is ways out, and you just gotta take advantage of it. You gotta recognize it, and And it took me a while to recognize it. It took me half my life to recognize that I'm going to die of indulging. So, that's the thing about that is that, until you can actually accept your problem as a problem and recognize it, you can't fix it. And,
Oh yeah, 100%. And and I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by the symptoms, where it's the self-soothing and the self-medicating, and they're so focused on the addictions. And I'm
Right.
like, how many people do you see, quote unquote, treating addiction, and all they do is replace it with something that is socially acceptable.
right,
They quit drugs or quit drinking, but now they're at the gym all the time, right? So
Right.
they're still just avoiding with a new addiction,
right,
or they become an entrepreneur and it's all hustle and drive. So, for me, it's always been getting to that root of what's the root beliefs driving the thoughts, or driving the feelings that are driving the thoughts that are driving the behaviors
right,
that are creating the outcomes. And is it the outcomes I want or the outcomes I don't want?
right.
And it's when you get to treating that root, it eliminates so many of those behaviors.
Do you have any children?
I have my stepson.
You have a stepson? That's nice.
Yeah, he's 25. I've known him since he was 1. So
Wow.
that's why we moved to Pennsylvania, to be active parents and have.
You're actually in Pennsylvania. Where are you in Pennsylvania?
No, I'm in Florida now.
Oh,
I
okay.
left that fucking place. That's terrible. No offense to all my PA people. It was not for me. I'm not from there, didn't grow up there, so I was not welcome there.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, that's going to be it.
Yeah.
Because I've been here all my life, and
No, yeah. Well, it was southwestern Pennsylvania, so south
Western.
of Pittsburgh. If you
Well,
were like north of Pittsburgh, sure, but like south of Pittsburgh, I loved Morgantown, West Virginia. That was great. But yeah, southwestern PA is just a weird kind of cultural island, and it really is. People just don't move there. So I think that it's just a skill set a lot of them are not challenged to learn, which is incorporating new people into the familial social circles and stuff.
right.
And so it's just these tight little groups, and if you're the outsider, you're always the outsider. And for 16 years, I was the outsider.
I worked in wrestling in Pittsburgh and West Virginia, Western Virginia. All of West Virginia, but it was different.
Western West Virginia.
Well, yeah, but Western West
Yeah.
Virginia was a different place than everywhere else that
Oh,
I've
yeah.
worked in, and Pittsburgh I was okay with, but the western part of West Virginia was a little different. It was a little.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but yeah,
It's very Appalachian.
it was. But I did okay there, but it was just, it was kind of weird. It was like country bumpkin area. A lot of really redneck people were there, and
Yeah, for sure.
it was.
There was a lot of really, really good people. I think, at least I was blessed to meet a lot of really, really good people that came from like north central West Virginia, like Western Maryland, kind of,
Yeah.
That whole area. And some of the people that I did meet from some of those really way out there small towns, but I know we're very kind and, salt of the earth people. However, from what I understood, and I never really went and hung out or visited some of these tiny small towns, right, or try to move there, where you're like definitely the outsider.
I like Florida.
But that could be anywhere. that could be small town anywhere,
Yeah,
really,
yeah. Well, if you were in
that was
central
the same
Pennsylvania,
problem in Utah
if you were
when I lived in Utah.
well, Utah, that's a whole different culture there.
I wasn't Mormon and living.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so so then you did this book, and what did I do? Did I lose you? No, I didn't.
No.
Okay, thought I lost you for a second. No, I thought I lost Doug. His camera kind of went weird, and I hit the wrong. I got 3 trackballs on my desk, so I hit the wrong one.
it's called now your Click Happy mic.
Well, I was just checking to make sure everything was. I always, if I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at all the. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 monitors here. So there's lots of things going on here at once. So I always make sure that everything's still working and that anybody's
You
asking
just need a
questions.
full-time producer.
That's well, yeah. I need a handful of people to.
Team.
It'd be nice to be able to just host the show and
Yeah.
not have to worry about
He's
any of
a
that.
talent.
But I've been doing this since 2003, and I haven't learned yet that it's crazy and I shouldn't be doing it. I'm not trained to do this. I just do it because it's fun.
There you go.
So okay, what happened next? When did you?
So that was right at the end of 2014. So the very beginning of 2015 is when I really leaned into not allowing myself to get overwhelmed by changing everything. I think historically, being that control freak and all of my thinking was all or nothing. That was the only way I can do something. So every time I would try to lean into change, it was always epic failure within the first week or two, because it was all, I can't just go from no routine to new routine. I've got to add in 12 things in the morning and like 10 things, right? All or nothing. So I really shifted how I approached transformation. And what was really interesting is I started with the simplicity of what is the easiest thing that I can control.
Okay.
Since I'm no longer trying to control anything other than myself. So what can I control? Well, I can control me. I can control what I'm doing with my body and what I'm putting in my body. That's still too much. So let me pick one. So I started with what am I putting in my body?
Okay.
And so that was really, I did a juice reboot for 30 days, and I felt so good at 30 days, I did another 30 days. And what's funny is I didn't lose all the weight on the juice reboot. The juice reboot was simply a catalyst because I was doing the inner work at the same time, that I was able to hit that switch in my body that said, oh gosh, it's safe to release the weight.
Okay.
And that was the big piece, because up until then, this was the first time I went into my transformation of I just want to be healthy. I was not measuring myself by a number anymore. I was not attached to the number on the scale. I was not attached to the size on my clothes. I didn't care. I went into it for the first time ever. And, mind you, hyperachiever, everything's a measurement, everything's a grade, everything's a number of value, and we're all measured all the time, right? Your GPA and your SATs and your ASVAB and your, what size you wear, the number in your bank account, what's your credit score now that we're adults, right? What's your credit score?
Yeah.
How many cards do you have, right? But I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. I just want to be healthy. So releasing that control and expectation was huge in this journey.
Okay.
Because when I went into it and flipped that switch, because I was not trying to control the size and the weight, my body went where it wanted to go. So had I been in control, I would have gone from, an 18-20 size down to maybe like a 10-12. That would have been like, woohoo! I would have been super stoked, right?
Okay.
College size. Awesome. But my body on its own, as I was choosing to allow it to do what it needed to do and create that internal safety so my body could release, it went to a 4-6.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did that in 10 months completely naturally, because when I transitioned out of the juice, I just went clean. Paleo, just kept it simple. I didn't say make it overcomplicated. People are like, well, what do you eat? I'm like, flexitarian. I'll eat what I feel like. Right? Sometimes it's plant-based only. Sometimes it's keto. Sometimes it's paleo. Sometimes it's carnivore. It's just, I just listen to my body.
Right. Yeah.
Just stay away from crap. Most of the time. Sometimes I go through, a couple weeks of like, woo, let's have ice cream.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. So why? Okay, so you wrote this book.
Yes.
Is this
5
your first
years,
book?
Fast forward, 4 years, because I wrote it in 2019. So, the rock bottom was 2014. Then, really transformed myself 2015. I was like, I'm my first client. And then 2016, I started my business.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Why did you choose that name? The name of the... okay, what's the name of the book?
Be a boss and fire that bitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why why that. I mean, it catches my eye. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's okay.
So there's a couple things to it. One, I'm inherently a disruptor, right? I mean, even in my intro at the beginning, right, between being this Iraq War veteran, biker chick, just kind of the badassery, the brains, just I'm a disruptor, an innovator, and so anything that's going to help catch somebody, then I'm not the first person to refer to the inner critic as the inner bitch, right? Like, that's well known within the personal development community. They'll call it the bitch voice, the inner bitch, the whatever.
Right.
And so,
well, see,
so yeah, that was the working title.
I couldn't write a book with that name on it.
I mean,
I couldn't.
Probably not.
No,
yeah.
That's like using the N word. You can't, you can't.
I mean, but it's men who always say the inner bitch voice.
Yes, but we wouldn't put that in writing.
It's in writing. There's books about it.
Well, those people didn't those guys didn't go to the same classes I did.
Well, you wouldn't be sharing that in those classes. People in personal development, obviously, have a very different perspective.
This is true.
But that was the working title, and it was the working title. Everybody loved it. It's really the subtitle that gets you, right? It's the quiet the inner critic and finally believe you're good enough. That's the fluffy, direct to the point piece, but that doesn't catch. That gets lost in the mix of everything else, right? We need the power and the directness. Part of that's with me, that when you get this book, it's no fluff, no BS. I'm cutting straight to like the core of the truth of what's happening here, right? So that's part of it. And then, it was just, that's setting the stage for this transformational process that you experience going through the book. And the fact that it is so tactical and strategic in these are the things you do to transform this relationship with this inner voice.
Right.
And I always tell people, like, if you read it, you really realize you're not firing that voice, you're making friends with it.
Yes. I understand that. But I just kind of...
Because it's just a messenger.
Yes. And I found it very interesting that you made, because I would have thought that would turn women off from that book. Or maybe it would attract them to that book because of the... Right.
Oh, everybody loves it.
Okay.
Everybody loves it. The name. Men and women alike. They all love the name.
By the way, where can they buy it? Where can they buy it?
Amazon.
Amazon.
You can buy it on Amazon.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah, you can search Stacey Rasky on Amazon, or you can go to staceyrasky.com and there's a link to it right there.
Okay.
Or you can go to firethatbitchbook.com.
Oh, I do have that. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see here. I can put that in the chat room.
Sure.
That's
like
neat.
Otherwise, I mean, people like searching firethatbitchbook.com, but
I think it's something. To be honest with you, if I were the writer of the book and I were female, I'd probably do that too. I'm not necessarily one that plays by the rules. So
I am very much a rule breaker. I will always break the rules or push boundaries. I mean, obviously. I had strong women in my childhood that set the example. I mean, my dad was a cop too. So both my parents were cops.
Oh.
So, and then later my dad was in more corporate business. But, there's a lot of, my aunt being, she went to the Olympic trials for track and field. And she was like the number one or the first female head track coach in a university for the entire track and field department. So there's a lot of strong examples of women in my family. So I think, sort of stepping outside the norms and disrupting the status quo is kind of just in my nature.
I wouldn't know that. I'm starting to see that though.
I know most people are. It's funny. It's a little jarring. They're like, "Oh, they meet this 6-foot blonde," and they're like, "Oh, okay." Everybody has their preconceived notions. Then they talk to me, and they're like, "Oh, damn."
I got to see you speak, and I was impressed with what you said and how you said it. And then we talked, and I said, "Well, can I have the book?" And you gave me the book, and I think I gave you a CD too.
I have it. Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
So, one person that read the book said, I got turned off until I read page 5. how you came into awareness. And the awareness part is what drew them back into the book. That's why I had a curiosity about the name of the book and all that.
Is that one of my reviews?
No.
Oh, okay. Is that the review from the person you gave it to?
Yes, it was.
Oh.
Yes, it was.
Well, see, I think it's different when you receive the book as a gift as opposed to seeking it out.
Yes, it is.
Because you're ready to receive that level of directness. But that's awesome that, leaning into page 5 and then, okay, they can soften into, I appreciate the story now. So, I love that feedback. That's huge.
They say, you can say it. You can say it. I don't use that word, but but I will for you because I really appreciate. Well, I mean, for a guy to say that word, I think it's bad. But if a girl, it's like I said, it's kind of like the N word. You're allowed to say it, but we shouldn't say that because when we say it, it has a different connotation than when you say it, unless you're mad. Although when I've heard women, when they were really mad, say that word, and I couldn't touch anything that they would say at that point. But I'm a gentleman. Above all,
Well, the philosophy I go by is you can put a Y on the back of anything, and it completely softens it.
I like that. Yeah.
I
think you told me that. You might have been the one that told me that.
I did tell you that. I was like, if you just say bitchy, like you're being kind of bitchy. It's not the same as saying, man, you're a bit, right? Totally softer. Like, I don't know. This is on the edge of kind of cunty. I don't know. Just saying.
That's the other word I don't use.
Way softer.
That's the other word I don't use because I'm a gentleman.
Just like when you say, hey, you're being kind of shitty versus like, man, you're a shit.
And let's see, you answered this question. How old were you when you came to awareness? So it's 10 years ago about. So.
Well, yeah, I would say the second awakening. Because I was very, very attuned, very spiritually attuned as a child. And then for my own safety and protection, when ego kicked in right around the age of 6. Just everything shut off. And that's when all the anxiety and the ADHD and the achievement and all this stuff really started, a lot of the control issues.
Okay. Yeah. So you got here in 5 years without therapy or self-help books?
Oh, no. I've been an advocate of all the layers of healing. I am constantly working with people. That was the thing, that even though I was doing like the juicing and that stuff, that I was doing that inner work at the same time. I was working with my trauma therapist, and we were doing things like the EMDR and a variety of other cool things. And I ended up working with my first coaches and mentors in the end of 2015 too, where I started really investing in something more than just DIY. Of just books and things, which I liked the books, but it was nice to start saying, okay, I'm worth investing in.
Okay.
And so, that was investing in working with people like Kirk Duncan with 3 Key Elements, and then doing, getting my coaching certification, because a lot of people will notice, when you lose 140 pounds and all of a sudden you're glowing and you don't look the same, people are like, what are you doing? Teach me how to do it. So obviously for me, I always honor and respect any profession that I'm in. So I want to make sure I have at least some level of training.
Sure.
Although I'm not a certification junkie and not all about the alphabet soup behind my name. Like, kudos to anybody who that's their lane. It's just not mine.
Right. Yeah, I understand that because I've never been one to. I mean, I've learned through the toughest university of all, and that's Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks and the School of Life.
Yes, and because I grew up with a really strange situation where I was 16 when I left school, and I went to college at 16. And everyone told me I can't do that. Once again, can't do it. Can't do it. No matter what I said, you can't do it. And if you told me I couldn't retire at the age that I retired at, I did it. I didn't think I could do it, but at that point, that's a whole different thing. But the thing is that I'm very driven to prove people wrong. At one time, I became undriven by that when Ken died.
Yeah. It
Because
is an interesting pivot, right?
yeah, because all of a sudden that didn't mean as much as it did, because the person I was supposed to become successful with isn't here now. And now all of a sudden I got to do it on my own. I'm not doing it with someone else now. And that was a weird thing to do. And then the only thing I had left was my radio show. That was it. And so I had to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life, because now this is all changed. It's one day to the next. It just changed. And I met my girlfriend. Well, I spoke to my girlfriend around the time he died. I think it was a day or two, or it may have been a week before he died, but I hadn't met her yet. I met her the Saturday after he died.
Oh, wow.
I just needed someone to actually, at that point, because I keep my circle really close. There's only a handful of people, and at that point, if you look at the people that I hang around now and the people that I hung around before he died, everyone's different. There's nobody the same. So my whole closet was just cleaned when he died. Because talk about starting over, there's nobody in common. I have a strong relationship with my sister now, which I didn't have then. I have a strong relationship with Doug, which I hadn't had for 40 years. We had not talked at all. Really, we occasionally we would send messages, but it really wasn't talking. It was a different situation. My music was everything to me at that point, and I couldn't see myself not being in music. But then all of a sudden, I'm not in music, and now I'm thrusting myself into acting, totally foreign to me, except for a few things that I have done. I had done one project, a music video. My first acting gig was a music. Well, I'll go back to that. And then the other thing that I did was a pilot for a TV show called Agency. This is with no acting experience whatsoever, except for wrestling. And pro wrestling was great experience for acting, because until you meet your genuine self, no one cares about you in pro wrestling. When I first started, I was trying to find out who I was, and I was the playboy, and I was all these different things, and none of those worked because they weren't me. But once I became the Vital Idol, Classy Mike Trash, that was me, and all of a sudden, it worked, and people started hating me like they were supposed to, and loving me when they were supposed to, but mostly hating me. And it's funny, when I first started wrestling, I was managing people, and the guy, the promoter said, "Okay, I want you to be a bad guy." I said, "I don't want to be a bad guy." He said, "Well, why not? You got to be a bad guy." I said, "I can't be a bad guy." I said, "Well, why not?" I said, "Because all my life, people picked on me. So the last thing I want to do is be hated. I want to be loved. I want to be loved. That's why I did music. I want it to be loved. I want it to be worshipped. I want it to be put on that pedestal stage, And he said, "I want you to be a bad guy." And then at one point we got in a big argument. He and I both owned the promotion, or owned the school, and it went sideways. It went really bad, and I finally walked away and said, "All right, fine, you have the whole school." He said, "You're never going to work in this state again." And I said, "Okay." So I went down to Maryland, and I found a promoter down there that took me, and he started me going, and then I started working in other states, and I started from Pennsylvania. I worked in West Virginia and Virginia, and then I worked in Maryland, and I worked in 16 different states. And he worked in one. And he still works in one. He hasn't promoted. We've made up. We're friends now again, but it was really bad because I didn't. Well, anyway. So what I was getting at was this new promoter. I come in there and I'm the new guy in town, so I got to do what he wants me to do. So what's he do? He wants me to be a bad guy, and I'm like, I don't want to be a bad guy. Nobody likes the bad guys. Then I realized I'm a really good bad guy. And I started liking the people hating me. And I thought, wow, this is crazy. It's a drug. And I got to be really good at it. People really hated me. There was one time in New Jersey, I didn't know if we were going to make it out alive because I had people really, really wanting to kill me that night. And I deserved it. It was a Puerto Rican federation. And in tradition, wrestling with your Puerto Ricans or your foreigners is a better word, the foreigners were always the bad guys in American wrestling. It's changed over the years, but in this federation, the Americans are the bad guys. So I went in there and I didn't know what I was getting into. I had the tag team I was managing, and they were the Heat Seekers, which is a perfect name for bad. I took it off of I think it was an AC/DC song it was a Judas Priest song, I think it was. I took that for the name of the group, and we went in there and we did a thing on the radio, and I said I was going to take their belts, and there was nothing they could do about it. And so they had a match with us. So we went out there, and they introduced us first, and they introduced us in Spanish. And it was a total, I mean, the arena was packed with these people, and a lot of them were Spanish. In fact, they introduced us in Spanish. And I grabbed the microphone and I said, "What's this? This is the United States. We speak English here. I want to be introduced in the English." They introduced the rest of the people. They introduced the other team in Spanish too. And when I said, I want to be introduced in English, and we're taking those belts whether you like it or not. And there's nothing anybody can do here. So we went and had the match. They beat us, and we were like outside the ring, and they were like, "And here's your champions." And my guys ran in and beat the living daylights out of them. And I took their belts, and I said, "I told you we were taking these belts, and there's nothing you could do, and you could do, because they're all ours." And people were throwing things at me. There were drinks coming in the ring. And I started walking out, and I backed up a second, and I pulled this piece of paper out of my outfit, and I said whatever it said, and it was in Spanish, because I can't speak Spanish. And I ended up saying, "Kiss my ass." And that really got them angry. I mean, it was like going up to a bee's nest and swatting the bee's nest, because I know we were going to die that night. So we went to the dressing room, and I said, "Hey, guys, I know it's intermission, but I think we ought to leave right after intermission, because if we stay here, they're going to kill us." And they said, "Yeah, I think so." So they took pictures of us holding the belts and stuff. And so when the next set of matches came up, we got our clothes, got dressed, and left that place. And we were like, I was so happy to be out of this place. It was crazy. So that was my story of being a bad guy. You can be. I was scared. I was scared that was the first time I was ever scared of wrestling, because I thought these fans were going to kill us.
What's interesting though is like that's the power of being on stage, right?
Yes.
When you're able to influence a room in that way, whether you're the speaker,
Yep.
or the musician,
Yep.
or entertaining in that live capacity, like whatever it is you have to have the capacity to be the container for the room. You have to be in control of leveraging the energy and the emotion to elicit the outcomes you want, whether it's hate me because I'm the bad guy, or the experience of transformation,
Yes.
or even humor for the stand-up comedians.
Yes. It's crazy, because I never would have imagined how much power behind that microphone. Because whenever I've done music, I've always wanted them to cheer me, and that's when I realized I was good at my craft, when they wanted to actually care. And,
well, it's interesting too that you talked about sort of the pivot from trying to prove everybody wrong to no longer trying to prove. And, it is an interesting space, because that was the thing, is shifting from the energy of so many people want to create freedom, right? And have this experience of freedom, whatever that looks like for you. And obviously for us who are entrepreneurs,
Right.
It's a big driver.
Yes.
But so many are driven to create freedom from, because it's the I'll prove you wrong,
Yes.
or it's the baggage of the past, or I'll not be the poverty or the homelessness or the instability, like I'm not going to be whatever's the past. So it's all about the freedom from. And there's a certain point where the magic happens when you flip that switch, and all of a sudden it's the freedom too. And it's nothing about the past anymore. It's what is the impact you're creating in the world.
Right.
What's the prosperity? What's the transformation? How are you leaving it better? What's the freedom you're creating far beyond yourself, and that legacy that you're building, and that freedom too?
Yes. Got another question from the chat room. Are you familiar with Internal Family Systems by Richard Schwartz?
Yes.
Internal Family Systems, IFS, is a type of psychotherapy that views the mind as a family of sub-personalities or parts that interact with each other. I like the layout of each... Oh, this might be yours. I like the layout of each chapter: story, symptoms, source, solution, empowerment, or empowered action.
Yep, that's how I laid out the book. You know?
Yeah.
And it's all this, and it's the understanding that even in the way that I structured my book is creating safety for someone to relax into the expectation of trusting the process and being able to lean in, because it really is doing very powerfully deep work.
Right.
When you focus, but you're focusing on the behaviors. What are the behaviors that you can do different in order to change the thoughts, the feelings, and at the root, deep at the bottom of the iceberg, the beliefs. And really, that's how you shift believing you are enough.
Okay.
Which seems to be the greatest disease this world has, is this deep collective wound of like not enoughness.
Right. Yeah. I think that we are programmed to believe that in the United States especially, that you never have enough.
No.
And for the lower class people, you're never going to get enough. You're never going to get that. Middle class, some are both. Some are one way, some the other. Some, so it's not necessarily everyone for the middle class, but I think for the lower class, lower income people, lower and all that the mindset is, I'm never going to get there. And
what's interesting is when you flip it to internal, it really doesn't matter what the socioeconomic or the external conditions are. Everyone has that I'm not enough.
Right. Yes.
They're never going to be.
Yes, because that was me.
Right.
That was me from forever. I didn't think there was ever going to be a point where I would, after my wife died, part of me trying to heal was buying stuff.
Oh, yes.
And I bought a lot of
therapy.
Stuff. Yeah. And I realized that at some point that it took me a while to realize I was doing that. And it took me a while to stop. And now I'm at a point now where I'm throwing things out and getting rid of things because I've got all this stuff and I don't even know why I bought it, except that I felt better for a short period of time. I guess that was my alcohol or my drugs,
the food,
or food, because I wasn't doing food anymore either. Well, I was then, but it was one of those things that that's a dangerous thing to replace one thing with the other.
That's why it's so important to get to the root, because otherwise you're just going to trade one addiction for another.
Right.
And I see it all the time, why some people can be out there, and I see this a lot too with a lot of entrepreneurs, especially very strong female entrepreneurs, and then at home they've got a very toxic, destructive relationship, and it's really dysfunctional. It's and codependent and
Right.
usually abusive. Like, it's really an interesting kind of dichotomy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Does this work with complex PTSD or just PTSD? What do you see as the difference?
So I think anybody who had any sustained trauma, especially in childhood, like we all have some sort of CPTSD, right? I mean, like for me, and I share this story in my book, right? Both my parents, at the core, they're good people. They were just working with the toolkits they had, and
Right.
they had their own generational trauma. And both of them were emotionally unavailable. My dad was that very abusive narcissist, and my mom was just, she just had a max to her capacity to connect. So
Okay.
there was no real deep emotional connection. So that was some of those things. So really having a lot of persistent unsafe, right, creates complex PTSD. And that can be in long-term abusive relationships. So shocker, my red flag warning system was completely skewed because I grew up watching it and experiencing it firsthand with my dad, that when I started dating my boyfriend in high school, shocker, he was an abuser. Right? Like, the red flags are not there. And there's that deep seed from never learning how to create functional sense of self and esteem. I only learned how to be hyper vigilant and try to control things around me. So I never learned boundaries or that identity. So there's no sense of enoughness to think that I'm worthy or deserving of anything better than that. So I just never think anything's wrong with it.
Okay.
So it works. What's interesting is at the core, we've all experienced trauma, and that's just life. That's just living life. The big thing is, what are the skills that we learned and how to deal with it, or in a healthy way or an unhealthy way? And because these are all skills, you can learn new skills.
Yes.
And as you're learning the new skills and the new behaviors, what's cool is, again, those behaviors can start to shift all the way down to the thoughts, the feelings, and the beliefs. Now, what makes it hard is when people do the work in a compartmentalized way. And a lot of people do this. I see it all the time in business, right? People are like, I'm going to hire somebody for my marketing. And they do it in this little silo. But then they're not also updating their website, but they're not updating their other social media, or they're not they're not doing their inner work. It's just one piece. Or they do coaching just to work on mindset, but that's it. But they're not doing stuff in their business. And so a lot of people will do the inner work, the therapy, just on themselves, but maybe they're not bringing that into other aspects.
Okay.
They're doing the inner work emotionally, but they're not also exercising. Right. So whether it's just internally or it's in your business or your life, it's all compartmentalized.
Okay.
So if you bring an approach that's very integrated, where you have aspects that you're addressing holistically, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, social, environmental, professional, all of those things, and it's tiny little bite size, it really accelerates your results. And this is huge because most people ignore the physical piece. You can address the beliefs, but you cannot battle your biology, right? So it's understanding every battle you're fighting externally is a symptom of the war you're waging against yourself. And so when you recognize that there's a certain stress set point, which the longer we're exposed to trauma of any kind, instability, abuse, like small trauma, big T trauma, it doesn't matter. But the longer we have these feelings of unsafe for whatever reason, especially the earlier you go into childhood, you have a significantly higher set point for your survival brain. You are way more activated, which turns into a lot of that control issues, the hypervigilance, and really the self-parenting and navigating, what's going to happen. I've got to adjust accordingly. So everything's external focused, which leads to a lot of external validation, a lot of lack of boundaries, lacking a sense of self. So your body keeps the score, right? That's a great book, The Biology of Belief, another great book. So you have to address this set point where you're hacking your stress response in your survival brain. You also have to release these stored trauma and tension in the body. So there's a variety of layers to your physiology and your biology you have to take into consideration while you're doing this psychological, emotional, and spiritual work.
Okay.
Huge. And when you start doing them at the same time, it massively accelerates your results and reduces the symptoms of just change, because like we all go through the things get worse before they get better.
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, you start working out at the gym, you're like, I can't even sit on the toilet. Right? How many times have you done that? You're like, I'm with the trainer now. You're like, ah.
Zero. But I have my own issues, so.
Yeah, whatever it is, right? Like everybody's got their stories. But, you know, or you just go do the extreme hike and, you know, whatever. But
I think Doug knows about that, about working. Doug used to be a hardcore worker out.
Hardcore. Used to be.
Hardcore worker outer? Is that what it
outer,
is?
yes. He's now out of worker that way.
Okay. So you were an avid fitness.
Yes.
Fitness.
Used to be.
Used to be.
Okay. Used to be.
He can't claim to that now.
Now I'm 70. I don't do that anymore.
Now's the best time to do it.
Yes, yeah. I know. I'm teasing, but
and his wife teases him too about the same thing. I think he's got the greatest wife though. He's got a good family. I love his family. I've met them all. Oh, I haven't met your in-laws.
Yeah, I met my in-laws, but you've met everybody.
But yeah, his daughters are great. He's got a great grandchild. I don't know how it happened. It can't be his genes, I can tell you that. But then maybe in 10 years, I may not be saying that.
I was going to say, with Doug obviously being able to create that sense of safety and stability and containment for people's whole self, because if you're navigating, you know, soul work in ministry, like
especially in where he's at, because he's not it's not a church-like thing. It's dealing with people.
Dealing with addicts.
Yeah, I mean, it's dealing with addicts, dealing with drug addicts, dealing with alcoholics too. Yeah. I mean, that's hardcore. I mean, that's dealing with you're in the trenches there.
Yeah. I mean, all of my clients are addicts in some capacity or another.
Correct. It doesn't have to be physical drugs. Addiction is addiction.
Yeah.
It is. A lot of them, it's the hustle. They're so addicted to what I call hiding in the hustle. It's just that's your numb out.
Yeah.
You know? And
there's points that I think that's what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm hiding it from. You know, because I'm constant. Like right now, I own I'm half owner of Rich Guitar custom guitars. I'm an owner of APP, which is all Action Pack Pro Wrestling. I've written quite a bit of stuff for my TV shows, which hopefully we do the pilot this weekend, or not this weekend, the weekend the first weekend of December.
Nice.
And I've got a lot of stuff going on. It's just, it's just I feel like I'm never doing anything. Yet my girlfriend says, "Would you slow down?"
So it's kind of I'm the same way, right? There's a lot to the visionary entrepreneurs. Most of us are what I like to call neuro spicy because we come from a high level of trauma and instability that shows up as ADHD or anywhere within that neurodivergent spectrum. Which the beauty of that is all of the root that causes is the source of our superpower, right? Like our superpowers come from this high set point of energy and nervous system. And really, when you think about it, our ability to navigate risk, our ability to navigate discomfort, instability, and chaos because that's what we grew up with.
Yes.
So, and there's a lot of that doing is we've learned to funnel a lot of that extra energy and really just, again, our cortisol and our stress and just the way our endocrine system functions, it's at a higher level. So a lot of us learn to funnel it into constructive things. But there is always a point where you have to evaluate, is the doing a very conscious experience? Because we don't have to have a ton of downtime if the downtime is constructive.
Okay.
Right? Like if the downtime is giving you the rest and recovery you need. And so some people do recovery activities, like you do the IVs and the float pods and the, the brain tap and the, or you do 20 minutes of meditation, or you go to the gym. Like there's something in there, and just understanding in the hierarchy of the value of how you invest your time and energy. If you're investing in you at the foundation, that 5 minutes or that 15 minutes is going to give you a massive ROI to recharge your energy banks that can give you 5 hours of expressing externally for things you love, whether it's taking care of people or business.
Yeah.
But making sure that it's not coming at a cost of the relationships. If, like, the person you're with, if their love language is quality time, and you're not available for quality time, right? That's my husband. So we're navigating those waters of, we're both in the space of acts of service, which is good. And his secondary is quality time. My secondary is words of affirmation. And so that's where we kind of are like, because his idea of quality time is like chilling on the couch. My idea of quality time is let's go do something. Even if it's in the house, like we can play dominoes, we can play Mexican Train, we can play cards, we can work on a puzzle. Like we don't even have to talk.
Back up a second. What's Mexican Train?
It's a domino-based game.
Okay, that sounds like something.
Sounds like a porn.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking, wow, that sounds like it could be fun. I don't know. Of course,
a fun game, though.
But last time I was in a Mexican place, I almost got killed. So
back to you. I thought it was Puerto Rican.
Oh, Puerto Rican. Yeah, that's right. It was Puerto
Don't
Rican.
confuse the two. It's like calling it Korean and Chinese. Like, no, don't confuse it.
So I'm out of questions.
You're out of questions. What's next, Stacey? What's next for you? Any cool projects?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking of is kind of wrapping this up and moving on to another thing. So what actually what do you you said you're a speaker.
Yeah.
How did you meet VIP? Is that through the speakers?
Networking groups.
Networking. Okay.
Through a networking group. Yeah, they heard me speak at an event. So it was a mutual networking group event that I had the opportunity to speak at, and it deeply resonated with them. And that's usually how I get a lot of my speaking gigs. It's either referral or they hear me speak and they're like, oh my gosh, you totally need to come to our event. So that happens a lot. Although it's TEDx application season, so I'm doing all those right now too. Okay. So that'll be fun.
A friend of mine is Tina Hardin, who you met at that thing in Atlanta too. She is also a speaker. She talks about CTE because her husband was
we chatted.
Player. Yeah, that's and her clinic is just about to open. I'm really happy about that. I'm very excited about it. So she's one of my closest friends. So
it's for me, it's moving into the next phase, right? So the book was really that, the childhood, the build up, the transformation journey after the rock bottom, and really focusing on, those steps to getting up to that point in 2019. And so over this past 5 years, what have I learned since then? And it's really this concept of being in flow neutral. And it's this highest form of leadership where it's really impacting and elevating those around you and inspiring them to step into their highest self simply by who you're being, because you're just being so authentically you and living your purpose and embodying your highest self. And in every one of those lanes, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, professionally, environmentally, socially, all of it. So, I've got some intellectual property that I've created over the years, and really explaining that hierarchy and a lot of the methodologies I've created over the last 5 years of coaching and consulting and advising and all of those things. So it's time. So
What are the other
I'll have that
businesses? What are the other businesses you have?
So systems and automations agency. So for the people who, especially if you're a successful entrepreneur and you're ready to monetize your genius, you know, you're at a space where either you're like, I'm called to do something more impactful. So you're ready to build your personal brand. We basically do this entire process where it's developing your brand, your offers, and even the business systems. So it's very much in a leveraged way. So you're not necessarily having to invest a ton of time. You can sell your courses, programs, products, speaking, all of it very quickly. So we can basically get you monetizing in 90 days or less, which is great. So, you know, but we do a lot of the systems and automations, a lot of custom builds.
Okay.
For, you know, just saying, hey, what's your zone of genius? Let's keep you in that. So, and then you can buy back your time without necessarily hiring more people. So, and integrating all of the assets of your business together. So you can really leverage. So that's why it's like, I'm a leverage architect, you know, helping you shift from managing your time to managing your energy.
Okay.
So that way, you know, you're able to optimize your performance and your productivity. And then when you leverage within your business all together, now you're better optimizing your profit.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So everything moving forward is going to be more, you know, more of the speaking, more one-to-many. You know, I think I'm going to be pivoting a lot of the stuff I was doing one-on-one or small group with the coaching is going more like courses and products and events and, you know, getting speaking. I've got my podcast, all that cool stuff.
And tell us about your what's your podcast and how can they see it?
Influential. And it is on all the major platforms, including the video version on YouTube. And yeah, I listen to it sometimes on Spotify or Pandora. It's everywhere. So.
And okay, that's good.
Yeah, I'm not monogamous with my podcast. You can find it everywhere.
Oh well, that's my kind of woman there. I like a podcaster that is not monogamous.
It gets around.
So, all right. If you want to hang around, you can hang around, or whatever you'd like.
Awesome.
I'm going to play
my. Just need to do a little bio break.
I'm going to do.
I'm sitting here checking my watch.
Oh yeah. I guess so. That's I want to play my commercial so that people can see what I was talking about. I think it's really cool. I'm going to put you so you can see it. Are you gonna be there, or are you gonna take a?
Yeah, no, you can put it in.
Okay.
I'll see it.
All right. This is a commercial for real estate agency in Rhode Island, and this is your first time seeing it too.
Yes, my first time.
Okay, now I got to figure out where I put it. I think I put it at the bottom here. Let me see here. There it is. Okay. It's only 30 seconds, but it's pretty good. Oh, now. Okay, let's see if we can make this full screen here. Okay. This is so bizarre. It's funny though. Okay.
You went to college, you got married, you had so many kids.
So many kids.
This band has waited long enough, Mike. Are you in or are you out?
Get off my ottoman now. Face it, things change. Like the housing market. Looking to buy a home soon? You want a realtor by your side. Find a new home and the expert to make it yours on alrightliving.com.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's so good.
We did so many versions of that. It was crazy because we did a version where I joined the band. We did a version where I said I called the cops. We did a version, why are you stalking me? How do you know my kids' names? We had all these versions and stuff. It was just that was really cool. That was a long day because I drove up during the night and I got there at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is when the call time was. And I left there at like 3:30 in the afternoon. I was burnout. I was totally burnout. I was glad to have self-driving because I would have never made it home without self-driving. But it was so much fun. But I was like, this director changed the script on me 5 times before I got there, and I'm like, what do you mean? What are you're changing it again? What are you doing? You know, and and I was so tired. I was like, oh. So he ended up doing it a bunch of different ways, but this was just like him saying things from behind the screen. He said, say this. Okay. I said, say this, try this. And we didn't even do this by the script anyway for my part. My part was almost, well, that I would imagine, that was all improv. So
all ad lib.
Yeah, so we didn't go by the script anyway. I was talking to the wardrobe person, and they were like, I said, yeah, he changed the script like 5 times. She goes, yeah, he does that all the time. I was thinking, oh, what am I into?
So what is hilarious is, were any of the guys that were playing the rock band characters actual rock band guys?
Actually,
when you were definitely in the rock band for sure.
Well, they were wearing some of my clothes because I brought a bunch of my leather and stuff. But they are actually musicians, and they're actually,
nice. Okay.
and it's funny because we were talking about it because they're about 90 minutes from here, and it was like 6 hours to Rhode Island. Had I known that they were there, I would have said, "Hey, you want to ride along? I'd pick you up on the way." So, yeah. But yeah, it was funny. But that was interesting. I was afraid the director got mad at me because, you know, he kept changing everything, and I thought maybe, you know, but he loved it. He was really a crazy guy, but that was the best paying job I've had, and it was funny because they offered me this much money, and then they changed everything, and then I thought, oh, they're not going to give me the money they promised me, and they advertised it at one thing, and then they offered me one thing, and I said, no, that's not what it said. And she goes, well, I can't give you that. She goes, I'll tell you what, I'll pay you $100 out of my fees, and that way you'll get what you were promised. And so she paid me that, and when he paid me his part, he paid me more than I asked, or, you know. Nice. So I actually made $200 more than I expected to make.
There you go.
So I was happy about that. It doesn't happen very often in this world. But, all right, so let's see if we can, I'll go through some of this stuff and then we'll talk about your thing. All right, let's get to, yes, first thing. I'm going to put you so that you can see the screen, because when I pull up this article, you'll be able to see what we're talking about. Jay Leno's recovering after falling down a hill and hitting his head on a rock. You know, he's had a lot of issues lately, because didn't he burn his...
He burned his barn down.
But didn't he do something else?
He burned himself.
Yeah. It's like, you know, that was his face or something. Yeah, that's what it was. He seems to be having issues where maybe it's time to retire.
Again.
I mean, yeah, but this is stuff that could kill him. If he was on the radio, or if he was on TV, he'd have people there that would watch over him. But this guy here, he said that he was booked for a comedy job, and he got hungry, and he saw a restaurant down at the bottom of the hill, so he decided he was going to go down the hill to get something to eat, because, you know, he was performing, and he wanted to eat before the performance. It says here, well, the hill doesn't look that steep. It's about 60 or 70 feet. Let me see if I can go down the hill. He says, detailing the fall, which left him with a bruise covering half his face. I fell down, boom, boom, boom. I rolled down the hill and hit my head on a rock. It knocked me in the eye. He's 74. So that's what you're looking forward to.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. 74-year-old comedian addict that he still went on to perform his show later that night. It's not that big of a deal, he says. It's all right. It's all right. The thing is, about this age, you don't learn by your mistakes. You just keep doing the same stupid thing. Talking about his 2022 burn. So, oh man, funny. I mean, not funny, but funny. And at least he took it that way. He took it as being funny. Then, let's see here. Of course, people are leaving the country now, from what I understand. A couple people.
are leaving us.
Whoever that is. We were talking. Actually, we could talk about. Were you going to talk about the cabinet?
I was going to talk about the ceasefire, potential ceasefire.
Okay. I guess the cabinet.
He's named all 15 to 21.
Yeah, and they're expected. Most of them are expected to go through.
Except for 3.
Well, the one guy's definitely not going through, and I
Exactly.
kind of was really surprised that he even was asked to go. But Dr. Oz, Dr. Oz couldn't win the Pennsylvania thing, but he got appointed. Oh man, I don't know if that's good or not. But he's going to be Medicare and Medicaid. Hopefully he will do okay. I don't really know a whole lot about him. I just know that he had a TV show. But he's a protege of Oprah Winfrey, and first gained his fame from being on her show, and then he was also the host of Jeopardy from time to time, guest host, and a number of TV shows and films as himself. And his Senate run provided a glimpse into the finances of daytime TV. But he didn't win.
He did not win.
He lost. Who was it? Fetterman beat him.
Fetterman.
Jeez.
Well, it seems like Trump's picking people who have very strong personal brands.
Yes.
From RFK Jr. to, Elon Musk to Dr. Oz. He's peppering in all of these people who have a strong level of influence.
Yes.
He's literally building an influencer.
There you go. He must have read your book.
These are also
It'll be influential.
These are also people.
That'll be the next step.
These are also people with TV experience.
Yes.
Yeah, they've got the media coverage. They've got strong social media coverage. They have a huge amount of influence regardless.
Yes. Are you guys, either of you or both of you, into Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah. Can you be like a red-blooded American and not?
Well,
love them or hate them, not necessarily being into it or not, but the songs because they're very influential
well,
on our lives.
There's a documentary coming out on Fleetwood Mac. From Frank Marshall in the works, talking about Fleetwood Mac. They're finally getting to do the documentary thanks to Frank Marshall. Frank Marshall was behind the Bee Gees' How Can You Mend a Broken Heart and the Beach Boys, and he'll direct what is described by distributor Apple as a fully authorized documentary on the band. So that's going to be interesting. I think that... did I talk last week about Twister?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't remember if I did or not, so I won't bring that up again. I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't remember when I saw the movie, so I didn't remember if it was before or after.
No, you were talking about seeing the movie, so you did not.
I did not. Okay. So this is a weird story. Did you see Twister?
The first one, Twister.
The second one.
Not Twisters. Yes.
You did see Twisters.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay. Well, this is a bizarre story. So I want to tell you this story. So I wanted to see Twisters.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, here we go. I brought it up and watched it, and I said, this is a horrible movie. This is one of the worst acting movies I have ever seen. And then at the end of the movie, I looked at the roster and I said, I didn't see any of those people in this roster. The one person was Myrna, I forget her name, but she was in ER. I think it was ER. One of those shows. Anyway, I wanted to see her because I remember her in this. I believe it was ER, and I thought she was really a good actress. And I thought, well, why didn't I see her? And I thought, did she grow that much older than that I didn't recognize her? So I started fast forwarding through the movie looking for her, and I didn't see her. I said, well, wait a minute. She's not in this movie. This can't be that. This is wrong. And so I started doing some research, and I started I pulled up Twister in their Wikipedia, and it listed all the people. I said, I didn't see any of these people in this movie. So what's going on here? So I thought, all right. So I did a little more detailed looking, and there is a movie called Twisters, and there's a movie called The Twisters.
Oh.
The Twisters was by Apple TV.
Oh.
That was horrible.
Horrible.
Like, that's a compliment.
It's not even a D movie.
It was
really
the
like a
horrible.
J movie.
It was just blatantly, really, unbelievably horrible. It was like reading the script to you. It was kind of like, yes, we will have to get the Twister taken care of. I mean, it was just horrible. It was just, and one of the problems is I take acting lessons, so I'm a little more critical than most people. But I think everybody was critical of that movie. Even my girlfriend said, "Oh, that wasn't a good movie," and so I feel justified in that I wasn't the only one that felt that. But once I realized that was the difference was Twister and The Twisters. Do not watch The Twisters unless you want to go to sleep. So, anyway, that's my commentary on that. So
that's your first world problem for today.
Yes. No, it was horrifying. I mean, it was really bad. All right. So what's that one? That was.
Sometimes you luck out though. Like if you're in the right mood, you can find some of those really kitschy, bad movies that are just so bad they're funny.
Yeah, that one wasn't even funny. It was just bad.
No.
Netflix has got some issues. They got people suing them now over the Tyson fight. There's a class action suit with the streaming issues with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. And there's also a second one that people are saying that it was predetermined. And I think I talked about this last week, right? I didn't talk about that either. All right. So I played the clip on the show. That's what it was. Okay, I knew there was something I did last week. Okay, so there's a clip on the show, and it supposedly says that Tyson would not make any money if he knocked Jake Paul out the first round, because in his contract, the more rounds he lasted, the more money he made.
Yeah.
So he wasn't allowed to win.
Mm-hmm.
Which is now a lawsuit out about that too, because even though Jake Paul's now denying that as being the truth, but we all know Tyson could have killed him. And as far as when I saw his workouts, there's no way that he could. Even if you want to make it an exhibition, make it an exhibition. Do not make it a real bout if you're not going to do a real bout. Is what the end of the situation is. But the lawsuit is over the fact that 108 million people were watching this worldwide, and they didn't have a streaming capability of doing that, or they did actually pull it off. They did, but the match before that, I didn't get to see who won because it buffered. So
spinning wheel of death.
Yeah, I don't know that they're gonna get anything for that, because bottom line is people can watch it on the replay. But
yeah,
they're talking about doing WWE and doing NFL and doing basketball. Was it basketball or basketball? And they're going to try and I would imagine try to get NFL too. So they're trying to expand their horizons with some of these things, and they're paying some big money for this stuff. So they better work out the bugs. If they're going to have WWE,
I mean, that was a huge amount of taxing the servers.
Yes.
With that fight, because it was so long.
It was and that was really a a big test for them because they're talking about doing some big things, and they are going to have to be prepared for that. Because I mean, if they're going to be playing in that genre, they're going to have to deal with the growing pains of that. So.
But that whole experience was all about brand stacking.
Yes,
they were all
it was.
leveraging the influence of the other people. I mean, because Jake Paul launched numerous brands and
Yes.
businesses in conjunction with those fights. Like, people don't realize the amount of traction and leverage where Jake Paul, love him or hate him, he was leveraging Tyson, and then obviously Netflix was leveraging them, and then obviously boxing's leveraging the event. Like, it was just, I mean, from a business and brand marketing perspective, I was like, this whole thing was genius.
Yes, it was. It sadly was. I hate to admit that, but they also got the most people they ever had watching it once, which is unbelievable.
Like ever, or on Netflix?
Ever in one shot. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So
yeah.
Okay. Next, the movie the series that I'm in on Netflix is coming out in February.
You're in this?
I'm in Zero Day. I spent 5 days on set for that, so I'm going to be on that.
Don't blink, you'll miss them.
You might, but maybe not.
Well, I have
that's the other movie.
Moment where I can't find you because I'm looking.
Well, that one you probably will see me a bunch of times, but I don't have any lines in that one. The one he's talking about. There's another movie that was just released. Well, I don't know. I hope it was released by now. It's called Youngest Partisan, and I had a speaking role in that one. And if you blink, you would probably maybe miss it. In fact, I missed one of my scenes. There's 3 scenes I'm in it, and I missed one of them, and I got to get it for my reel. But it's a World War II movie. Is that 2 or 1? One World War I movie, and I'm a German, but I'm a vegetable and fruit salesman. So, and I had this big cart with all this food on it. They started yelling at us because we started eating the food because we were there for so long. We were eating the fruit on my cart. But anyway, but that
stop eating the props.
Yeah, that was what they said. They said don't eat the props.
Stop eating the props.
I was hungry, but I wasn't the only one eating.
Then you better upgrade your catering department.
That's right. Well, they did finally let us go to have food, but it was a long time we were out of that. But anyway, the conspiracy theory, Robert De Niro's Zero Day is releasing in February, so I will finally get to see what the movie was all about. I got to see what my part was about. I got to dress in nice clothes, and I was a congressman. So, but I was in a lot of scenes for that. I better show up. I was behind the one conspirator, so when we ousted the conspirator, I was right there. So, in fact, I yelled at him. It was. They better see me. I bet you they're going to blur everybody but him. So I'm probably not going to be seen, but I was there. It was funny. All right, let's see what's next. So I thought I'd say that's going to be February 20th. It is going to be on Netflix. Let's see here. The Penguin did so well on Max. They've renewed it for the next. I think. They renewed it for at least one more season. That was such an awesome. Colin Farrell was the Penguin, and you would not, if you had seen that, you would have said, "That's Colin Farrell." They had so much makeup on him, they made him fat and everything, and it was really good. I liked that movie, even though he was an anti-hero. He was the hero of the bad guys, I guess. Hold on, I gotta yell at the dog. Hey. Get over here and lay down. Let her alone. Let her alone. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. You never listen to me. I should have never left you down here. All right. So I'm going to be, since I yelled at you, I'm going to give you a bone. Jeez. That goes against everything that Stacy talked
Great
about.
parenting.
Yeah, everything she talked about. Anyway, what's next? just going through these quickly so that we can.
Get to the serious part.
Yeah. Hollywood cooking. No, I don't care about that. Don't care about that. Oh yeah, that was the new attorney. That was Matt. What's his name? Gates. Yeah, that was him. We don't need to talk about that. I put it in here when it happened. Oh, Comcast is splitting. Going to have a split off on their company. Comcast is.
They're splitting off a bunch of things.
Yes.
But the primary thing is MSNBC,
which I actually have something else on too. That was. I don't know if you're. Are you aware of that, Stacy?
No, I didn't know about that one.
NBC Comcast is basically selling part of their products. But the interesting thing about it, I'm thinking that's what you're thinking, is that there's going to be a bidding war by the looks of things.
Well, there could be a bidding war, or it could just go blank. Because Musk wants to buy it, and he'll just blank it out.
But maybe not, because there's something else that happened that you may not know. Okay, all bets are off. NBC, MSNBC, CBC, CNBC, and Bravo. They're all being sold off. Comcast $7 billion deal with a slew of uncertainties involves news, sports, entertainment. Anyway, so we know that they're splitting off now. Let me see where did I put that? Is that? Oh, I bet you that's in the main show and not it, because that happened at the last second. Let me pull that article up. Let's see. Uh-oh, that didn't update. Oh, okay, it did. I thought it didn't update, and I was going to say, well, I'm going to feel stupid if I can't answer that. Where is it at? There. Okay, that's. I did have it on here. There's a bidding war. Oh, that's why it is in the other thing. There's a bidding war between Musk and another billionaire. Where did I put that? Because that came in at the last second. I did put it in there. I hope I put it in there. Maybe I didn't. Huh. Well.
We need to fire the producer.
Yeah, I agree. Here it is. Okay. Oh, no, that's the other thing. So speaking of Elon Musk, he's got in the Guinness Book of World Records. Okay, come on up. There we go. Do you know why he's in the Guinness Book of World Records?
Largest loss of fortune.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody's good at something. Elon.
What did he lose it on?
Well, they're just talking about, according to Forbes, his wealth has plunged by an estimated $182 billion since November 2021. But some suggest that it's closer to $200 billion.
200, yeah. His biggest loss came with Twitter, or X, whatever you prefer to call it.
That was like $44 billion, right?
Yeah, but he's lost most of it.
Yeah. So, and a lot of executives from Twitter that left there started that, what's it called? Blue
Sky?
Blue Sky, yeah. And they're picking up the pieces of the Twitter.
Yes.
I could probably broadcast there. I should check into that.
You would have all Democratic listeners, because that's all that's going on.
Then I could piss them off.
There you go. We could do that.
We'll get kicked. We'll be the first ones.
It's free, right? It's free.
Yeah, it'd be funny. But anyway,
we can also go to Truth Social and kick them off too.
Yeah. Why not? We're an equal opportunity
offender.
Yes. There's another article where he's in a bidding war with another billionaire for the MSNBC. So, I mean, I guess if he really wants it, he could pay for whatever he has to pay for it. But then his $200 billion goes up to $300 billion or whatever for overpaying.
I don't know what Musk wants with it, because he's not liberal in any sense of the word.
he is. I don't know what he wants either. I can't understand why he would care about something like that.
Unless he just wants to shut it down.
Maybe, probably.
Or have the opportunity to kind of squeeze the direction and the perspective and kind of pivot it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like Musk. He's been, I've got stock in his company, and I have made a lot of money on his company. So I want to see him keep doing the stuff that makes that company turn. But I just don't understand his. I mean, it's okay to waste some money here and there, but $200 billion, man, that's too much.
Yeah, but are they just referring to like value, like approximate, net worth as opposed to actual cash?
Well, I think net worth wise, he's still going up. I would imagine, but yeah, I don't know. I actually didn't. I guess I can't. I can tell you I didn't read this all the way. His wealth has plunged. Well, if his wealth has plunged by 182 billion. Some sources say 200 billion. Musk's financial downturn far exceeds the previous record. Yeah, far exceeds that, I'm sure. The last one was 58.6 billion in 2000 by a Japanese tech investor. And Musk's worth dropped from a peak of 320 billion to 138 billion by January 2023. Largely, okay, here you go. Driven largely by stock losing its luster. Well, I'll tell you what, it's gained its luster back. At least it started to. So keep going up. That's all I care about. But, the past couple years, I would say the whole time that Biden was in there, it was dropping. And that was one of the things that I really was upset about Biden. Biden wouldn't even acknowledge that he was the number one EV manufacturer. Instead, he said GM is the number one EV. Well, GM is not even the number two EV maker or three. They're like down like 10. Well, maybe not 10, but they're not even in the top 4. Because Rivian and all those guys, and none of those guys' batteries caught fire like GM's. So I think that's part of the thing is that he wanted Trump in there because they didn't even give the incentives for EVs to Tesla till everybody made a fuss about it because Tesla's not union, so Biden wasn't going to give it to Tesla the incentives. So I can understand why he was a lifelong Democrat up until then. So Biden turned that around really well. All right, that's that. So now I'm done with that. I'm done with this. Oh, here it is. Spinoff. Is that it? That might be. Maybe that's the article. Oh, well, that's the same thing I had up. They also said that there were other. Okay, here it is. It says here they're going to split MSNBC, CBC, CNBC, Sci-Fi, USA, Oxygen, Golf Channel, Fandango, and Rotten Tomatoes will be spun into their own company. So that's why he wants it. He has all those companies. If he were to buy it, he'd have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 basic channels. Although most of those channels, I don't think people will miss. But that's why he wants it. All right, now, let's see what's that. Okay. If you're into the Peacock Network, Reba McEntire's show Happy's Place is going to get another season. And if you like Reba McEntire, or if you don't like Reba McEntire, it's still a funny show. So the premise is that Reba McEntire's father died, and Happy's Place was her father's place, and she worked there all her life, and
Now she owns it.
she owns it, but not alone. She didn't know that her father cheated on her mother, and her sister is this person here, who's probably half her age, probably less, and is introduced to her by the lawyer who says, "Oh, by the way, you don't own it alone; you own it with her." And she never knew she had a sister. So that's an interesting premise, and it's a pretty good show. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing where that goes. Let's see. Isn't Reba one of the judges on The Voice or something?
One of those performing shows.
Yeah. I don't like her now because I didn't get on that one. No, I didn't get on that one because of a technical issue, so that really sucks. Jason Kelsey is going to be a host on a late-night talk show for ESPN. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
NFL Films is producing the show. They call it Late Night, which will tape in Philadelphia beginning January. So, looks like he got another job. I thought he was...
He's on everything.
Yeah. Yeah, he's on her, too.
You know, I really love Jason because I'm an Eagle fan, but he's overexposed.
Yeah. Well, that's what she said. I wanted to say it before you would. I thought you were going to say it, so I just thought I'd jump in that. Jussie Smollett. Do you know who that is?
Yes. Sir.
Yeah.
Okay. The conviction for Jussie was overturned in the hate crime hoax. So, I didn't even know this existed until they started coming up in this thing. Apparently, his conviction in an alleged hate crime hoax was overturned on Thursday by the Supreme Court. The Empire actor was convicted in December 2021 of 5 felony counts of disorderly conduct for allegedly staging a hate crime against himself in 2019. He was sentenced to 150 days in county jail plus 30 months of probation and $130,000 in restitution. This came after charges against him were dropped in March 2019, but the case was picked back up when the new state conducted an independent inquiry with special prosecutor. In December 2021, the state appellate court rejected his bid for an appeal, and it was ruled that he would have to complete his full sentence, 6 days of which he served before being freed, pending appeal. So, in an opinion released on Thursday, the Illinois Supreme Court found that special prosecutor's decision to retry Smollett violated his rights. We're aware that this case has generated significant public interest, and many people were dissatisfied with its dissolution of the original case, and I believe it was unjust, the court reads. Nevertheless, what would be more unjust than the resolution of one criminal case would be holding from this court that the state was not bound to honor the agreements on which the people have detrimentally relied. So anyway,
he upholds his innocence even though the perpetrators with him have admitted it.
Oh, okay. It says in 2019, he told police he was attacked outside of his Chicago apartment by 2 men who called him racist and homophobic slurs and placed a noose around his neck. After an investigation, police alleged that Smollett had paid 2 acquaintances to stage the assault, and a grand jury charged him with a Class 4 felony for filing a false police report. In March 2019, all charges were dropped when the Cook County state attorneys reached a deal with his defense team that included taking part in community service and forfeiting a $10,000 bond. However, following the controversy over dropping the charges. The state of Illinois conducted a separate inquiry into the matter of special prosecution. Dan Webb, who then indicted Smollett again on February 2020. November 2021 trial against Smollett began, and he was found guilty the next month. So that's the one they're dropping. In a statement to the press, make no mistakes, today's ruling has nothing to do with Mr. Smollett's innocence. The Illinois Supreme Court did not find any error with the overwhelming evidence presented at trial, and that Mr. Smollett orchestrated a fake hate crime and reported. What would that do? Why would you do that? Why would you make a fake hate crime?
I don't know. I'm not inside his mind, but I do know that he lost everything because
Wow.
he lost his job. He lost more than that personally.
Wow.
He was a pariah
Well,
socially.
I mean, it is interesting though, because I mean, the way they're kind of presenting it now is they're leaning on that those other guys that committed the crime, the initial hate crime against him, were the ones that testified to he paid them.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's nothing really out there saying he did or didn't, confirming that he did or didn't. So,
Right.
you know, but then obviously everybody infers a lot of things when things are quote unquote settled, you know?
Yeah, it's so weird.
You know, they're really like,
I mean, I don't know what his
But yeah.
upside would have been with that whole thing.
Yeah, that's why it kind of
Right.
makes you question, like, did he really do it or not? Because he did lose everything. I mean,
Yeah.
he gets to be an advocate for, you know, the Black community, the LGBTQ community. He's an actor. He's very successful. Why would you, you know? But then again, you know, I mean, people like Winona Ryder had her shoplifting addiction.
Oh yeah,
and-
that's right.
You know what I mean? So, like, we're all still people, and we all have our stuff, so who knows?
Yeah. Chuck Woolery died. I didn't have time to make an obituary up for this because
Please explain who he is.
I'm just about to do that.
Thank you.
You don't know who he is?
I have no
Yeah.
idea who he is.
Where have
I
you
know
been?
Chuck Woolery.
Oh, I hit the wrong. Oh well, that's important too. This is important too because this is part of his story. Oh, I hit it twice. That's really good. I'm really smart.
Which game shows? Oh, he was on.
He was a bunch of game shows. He was Wheel of Fortune from 75 to 81, the original incarnation of Love Connection from 83 to 94, Scrabble from 84 to 90, Greed on Fox from 99 to 2000, Lingo on the Game Show Network from 2002 to 2007. He was also a musician, and he was in a band called Avant Garde. And they had a number of country releases, but they were known for They were known for their big hit was where was it? Okay, psychedelic group Chuck Woolery and Elkin Bubba Fowler in 1967. They released 3 singles on Columbia Records, 67 and 68, backed by different session musicians, Yellow Beads and Naturally Stoned, which hit number 40 on the Billboard 100 chart, and Fly With Me. Despite the success of Naturally Stoned, the group disbanded after Fly With Me and never released a full album. So he was a musician, and he made some jingles in his other life. He made a couple jingles for pop music and stuff. But yeah, he was from Kentucky, and he was actually 83. So, and it's son of Catherine and Dan. They owned a fountain supplies company. That's a big difference from fountain supplies to go to dating games and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just kind of, oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, there's the avant-garde thing. I might still put an obituary video together for next week, but I don't know if I'll have time to do that or not because I've got a pretty busy couple of weeks coming up. But yeah, the guy, he was in a lot of shows. I mean, it just amazes me that a guy talk about being typecast though. He went from game show to game show, and he was good enough to do the different types of games. I don't know. Love Connection was an interesting show because that's the one I knew him from. But I didn't watch too many game shows. But it's just really cool. It was a shame to see him go. But, I mean, he was 83. He at least had a good life. Next one is Alec Baldwin. Received
one of my favorites.
a Lifetime Achievement Award
There you go.
at the film festivals. The Turin Film Festival, wherever that is. So I don't think that has much weight as far as I'm concerned. I don't see how...
Man who should be in jail.
Yeah. But he's got enough money he could pay someone to screw up the evidence. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I'm surprised that they even actually let that film out after all the hassles.
And how did it do?
I don't.
It's out?
It's out. It's out. Well, I don't know if it's out in the United States though. I know it's out in the It's out in the foreign countries. So, and he's traveling the film festival circuit with it. So, yeah, I don't think that it's. We'll probably never see it.
It'll go to streaming somewhere, right?
Yeah, I would
And
imagine he's going to need to make some of that money back. Do you remember? Right. I don't know if you remember this because this is a little you're a little young for this, but do you know? Well, actually, with Thanksgiving, you might know it. Do you know the song Alice's Restaurant?
Probably.
You can do anything you want at Alice's Restaurant, except for Alice. Okay, the woman Alice just died. The woman that was written about. She was 83.
Okay.
So her name was Alice Brock, and just.
Did she actually have her own restaurant?
I'm assuming so, because if not,
well, that's the assumption that it was an actual. The song was written about.
Now I'm going to have to look because you had to ask that question.
Yep, I sent you down the Google Mania.
Well, it's right here. Alice Brock, whose Massachusetts-based eatery was helped inspire Arlo Guthrie's deadpan Thanksgiving standard Alice's Restaurant Massacre, has died. Her death just a week before Thanksgiving was announced Friday by Guthrie on his... I thought he was dead. Okay, so much for that. Well, he was dead in my mind. So, but every time I heard that song, I just used to love that song. It was just such a stupid song, but it was, you know, it. I don't know, just the way that the world is sometimes. I could see it happening.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But,
well, on that note, I am gonna head off and sign off.
I can make this video available to you if you want.
Sure.
I can cut out just your segment if you want. And
I appreciate it. I mean, if you're editing away anyway, I will happily receive that.
Well, I usually let the show as it is, but this is an easy cut. I mean, if you want it. So
I appreciate it.
Because you might be able to use it for something. And if you can use it for something, you're more than welcome.
Yeah. There's always, I mean, you know, the power of leverage, right? Is everything becomes one to many, and
once you've been interviewed by me, you're on your way.
I mean, it's top notch, right?
So I mean, Hulk Hogan was on my show.
I got my little, you know, my award back here for the Shiro of 2024 Shiro Award for the Network of Outstanding Women and Classy Mike Trasha. So, I mean, I have maxed out 2024.
And you got the CD too. You got the CD too.
I do. Which I like.
Do you? Really?
Yes.
All right, good.
I like all music.
Well, you should hear the new stuff. The new stuff.
Yeah.
I will release the stuff that Ken and I were working on when he died at some point, but it's still too new. I can't do it yet. So anyway.
But I mean, anytime you wanna, you know, if I'm able to come back,
you're always welcome back.
Invited back, you know, I would love to come back.
You're always
we can share different stories now that everybody knows my backstory. So, like, we can talk about other stuff.
Okay. I'm glad you had a good time. I appreciate you. Wait a minute, before you go, I'm gonna test her on this and you. We always do a segment called "How Old Are They?" because their birthdays are up. So I really feel bad for Doug because he has to go through this, and a lot of times he doesn't know the people because he doesn't pay attention to the TV. So I'm going to ask both of you these questions. First person who just had a birthday is Joe Walsh.
83.
No idea.
Pick a name. Pick a number. You got to
pick a number. Okay, he said 83. I'll go with 80.
Okay, you win because he's 77.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, Bo Derek.
Ooh, 72.
All right.
75.
You win again because she's 68. You're making her feel old, man. If she was here, she wouldn't want to talk to you.
Not at all.
Goldie Hawn.
Ooh.
That one, in my mind, she's always going to be like 35, but you know.
Yeah. 68?
72.
79.
What?
You got
I
one.
flip-flopped her and Bo Derek? How is that even? Okay.
I know.
Right?
Michael Strahan.
Oh, 44.
40.
53.
53.
Man.
Marlo Thomas. There you go. That one's gonna
75.
That's gonna mess you up.
72.
What'd you say?
75.
You got it. She's 87. 87. Jamie Lee Curtis.
Ooh, 73.
I'm going to say 80.
66.
Oh.
Terry Gilliam. Monty Python, in case you don't know.
78.
73.
He is 84. Mariel Hemingway.
Ooh. I've been like olding everyone's ages, so let me go a little low ball on this one. 69.
Okay.
75.
63, which I really was surprised. That would threw me off. I didn't really expect her to be that.
Yeah, I mean, even Jamie Lee Curtis. Not that I think remotely that she's old. She looks phenomenal.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, I couldn't have done well with these because I would have been sitting here because a lot of these people like Terry Gilliam, I would have got that.
Yeah.
But these are really hard.
Yeah.
Steven Van Zandt.
65. I feel like I'm way off.
69.
Okay. Think of Steven Van Zandt as he plays with Bruce Springsteen, and Bruce Springsteen is up there. He is 74.
Oh, okay.
It's also Pam's birthday. She would have been 58.
Happy birthday, Pam.
Yeah, she's gonna have to be a little louder than that if she's.
I doubt I would have to yell.
Yeah, well, hopefully she hears you. But Christina Applegate. There's only three more.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, there's
Christina
2 more.
57.
Okay.
61.
She's 53. John Larroquette.
Oh. 70. 70.
Night Court.
Night Court. Okay.
68. 68.
62.
77. And there's one other one that I found very interesting, but Doug will understand this more than you. Mallory Bechtel. I never heard of her.
Wow.
I have no idea.
Who is she?
She's an actress. I never heard of her. I'm going to contact her now because I think we have somebody in common. So I need to know.
We know where to guess.
It's 25. So I didn't even know. The only reason she caught my eye is her last name because I know some people by that name. So I found that interesting because it's very few people in acting or entertainment with that last name. So.
And even fewer who can pronounce it right?
Yeah, well, the reason I know some people, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you.
you're welcome back anytime.
So fun.
I had a lot of fun, and I hope you did too. So.
Oh, I had a blast. Yeah, we can talk more about those internal family systems, and I can introduce you to all my personalities.
All right. All right. We'll take one of them next time. We'll take a different one.
I could bring Super CC, you know.
All right.
You know, there's a variety. There's Bob and Jill. No, it's just, you know, all those different versions of ourselves based on, you know, when and where these things happen. But,
Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
I did. Thank you,
I
guys.
appreciate it, and I think Doug liked it too. And
I did, and thank you very much.
I thought it
You're
was
welcome.
very entertaining. So thank you so much.
I know. I was like, all right, I don't know what to expect, but you know, we're all just kind of.
You got pretty much what this show's about. It's just we just have fun and we talk about everything. Now we're going to talk about that's probably the end of my entertainment stuff. Now we'll probably talk about
The serious stuff of the show.
Yeah.
The government, and the politics, and the wars,
and the weird
ceasefire
things.
and all that.
It's
Weird thing. Okay.
a lot of weird things. Sometimes it's just everyday people doing weird things. So
Yeah, I live in Florida.
Yeah,
And I would like
well-
have you seen the It's Florida Man show?
yes, I was just gonna say that. That's the best show ever. It's on
It's
HBO. It's called the Florida Men.
It's Florida, Man. Like
Yeah,
it's Florida
yeah. It's
Man.
just so weird.
Oh, so funny.
Yeah, I'm caught up on that. I think I got. I saw the last episode of the season.
It is hilarious.
I'll
'Cause it is
have
so
to-
true. There's nothing about that show that is like remotely surprising.
The
Like-
best one was the gay guy who had his gay lover who burned down his house and
Oh, the trailer?
Yes,
The trailer, and
and-
now he like got out of jail and now he's living there
he
again. And
dropped
now
the
he's
charges. He said, "No, I was wrong. I was wrong. It wasn't him." And he knows it was him. He said it was, and got the guy out of jail. So the guy out of jail didn't have any place to stay. So he's staying with him. What
Because he robbed his house in a bull costume?
Yeah, it was so stupid.
So they actually interviewed the people.
Yes.
Like, it's hilarious. They have the reenactors, and the reenactors are actually all famous actors. Like, legit actors are playing the reenactments, and then they're interviewing the people who participated in these different things. Like, the one guy who got paid to cut off the guy's toe, and the guy that lost his arm. Oh my God, the guy that lost his arm. The mermaid and the witch are neighbors that are fighting. Like,
Yes.
so funny.
It's so
So
weird.
funny.
Just out of
I'm
just
like, the guy that got his arm ripped off by the alligator had to have been high on drugs.
Oh,
That's
oh,
the
he-
only
yeah,
thing I could think
yeah.
of. Because him laying out there for 2 days, I'm like, he must have been whacked out on meth.
I don't know how
Like,
he
it's
lived.
bananas.
Oh,
So
they-
now everybody's going to go watch this. It's
I
hilarious.
did audition for a show called The Florida Men, and I don't know if I auditioned for that show or not. But the audition I did was really weird, and I was thinking, wow, this has got to be that show. It's got to be the show that I was auditioning for. It was just these guys that have a cult or something, and we are the Florida Men, and just talks about all the bad things they do, and I'm like, maybe this is that same show. I'm thinking it just might be. So, I mean, how many people would name their show
Florida?
Yeah. So, anyway, thank you so much. I'm going to let you
You're
go, and thank you for everything. So,
And thank you for everyone listening. I'm sure you'll put in the links anywhere if they
Yes.
want to find me.
I will get that, and thank you again. And
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just, one last, wait a minute, hold on here.
And have a happy and blessed Thanksgiving.
Me
It's H8.
You're welcome.
It's www.stacyraske.com and
W's.
firethebitchbook.com is the other thing. So
Yeah, CaseyRasky.com and firethatbitchbook.com.
is it fire?
for the book.
Oh, fire that bitch. Yeah. Okay.
So, but if you just go to CaseyRasky.com, it's all my links,
There
and
you
there's
go.
a link right to Amazon. It's easier. So,
Great.
I'm all about efficiency. So the fewer the letters and the fewer the names.
Sounds good. Well, thank you.
so much. Enjoy your
I
Thanksgiving,
will
and we'll
talk
chat
to you
soon.
later.
Here.
Bye. I gotta hit the right button. Okay, now I don't have to do it. Now I gotta delete that. Hold on, I gotta turn that off. Gotta turn her off. Yeah, I did that by just talking to her. Let's see, that was that 2 or 3? That was 2, wasn't it? I guess I'm gonna find out. sure. Nope, that's one. So it's got to be this one. So all we got to do is hit this. There we go. Now it's just us. She was pretty good.
Yeah, she was good.
She was. She had a lot to say. I liked it. I liked it better when we actually talked about this stuff. She had a lot of stuff to say about this stuff
Yeah,
too.
that's good.
She's good. She's. I met her when I went to Atlanta. It was fun. I got to talk to her. She did a presentation and talking about all that stuff and talking about her book and stuff. And I pulled her aside. I said, "Would you be interested in doing an interview?" And she said, "Yeah." So it's cool. All right. I guess we can get to current events now. You want to talk about your stuff?
On a serious note, but a happy note,
Happy.
there may be a ceasefire in
Yes.
Israel and Lebanon with Israel versus Hezbollah, one of the terrorist groups that gets their funding from Iran. They have lost all of their senior leadership, or most of their senior leadership, to Israeli fighting.
Yes.
And they are seeking a ceasefire, a 60-day ceasefire. And the parameters of the ceasefire is that they move their heavy weapons and all of their soldiers north of a river 20 miles north of the border.
Okay.
And the Lebanese army and possibly United Nations would monitor the DMZ area, the militarized zone. And that would allow the people living in that area, the Lebanese, to come back to their homes, and it would allow the Israelites to return to their homes in the northern border of Israel.
Okay.
Both have been vanquished from their homes because of this war, and
Wow.
maybe both sides can return and start living a normal life. So it was supposed to be voted on today, but there are, of course, still issues. Let me look up the news here real quick and see if... nope, no news. So hopefully it'll be taken care of tomorrow and we can have a ceasefire.
Just in time for Thanksgiving. Oh,
Just
I
in
forgot to
time
ask
for
her what she was thankful. That's yeah. I got to remember to ask at the end of the show what you're thankful for.
The second piece of news is equally disturbing for parents.
Mm.
Child care is as expensive as rent or a mortgage across America. It is bankrupting families to have someone take care of their children.
That is a major thing. I mean, Pam always wanted to have kids. I didn't want to have kids, and it was because childcare costs. I mean, you'd have to have a job just to have childcare, and I kept saying, "Well, I don't want to live like that." You know, I had a girlfriend at one time that had kids, and I got to see it up front. She had her parents took care of her kids the majority of the time, but when they weren't around, I mean, there was a lot of money in childcare, and I didn't really, being that I was a poor kid, I was terrified of spending that kind of money on childcare, and seeing how my parents did. You know, I just thought, man, it doesn't really pay to have kids.
So my last gig as a minister, full-time ministry, was in Westside in Cincinnati, a neighborhood called Westside. And there was, we had a daycare,
Okay.
a subsidized daycare, where parents in the community could bring their kids for free with a voucher.
Okay.
And we had a few that paid the full freight
Okay.
without a voucher. The people that had a voucher had no idea what they were getting for free.
Oh,
They had no idea. And very few appreciated it,
yeah.
because to carry that thing full weight, you'd have to work 2 jobs
Yeah.
to be able to afford the full rate.
It's crazy.
It is extremely expensive and hard. My daughter thought about daycare, but she couldn't afford it. So
Yeah.
She stays home with her children, which is, she prefers it that way. And she happens to have a husband that can support her.
Right.
But a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, see, that's another reason that I didn't really want to have kids, but because I just remembered what my parents went through to try to take care of us. And for me, that's, there's the rest of the stuff. I knew there was more stories, just didn't know where, I didn't go down far enough. I apparently didn't, I have a big gap between these. But yeah, I mean, it's just, that's, when you got to work a second job just to pay for your job care, that tells you something's wrong with our country. There's got to be a better way to do that than to have to find a way to, I don't know what the answer is, but there's got to be a better way than what we're doing.
Well, Kamala talked about doing child tax credits and vouchers.
Okay.
Some form of voucher system, which doesn't solve the problem, but at least she was willing to address it.
But the problem with that is it incentivizes people to have children.
Well, most people have kids because they're either accidents or they want them.
Okay.
Now, I waited 7 years to have children because I didn't think I could afford them. And then one day I came home and my wife said, "We're having children now."
You don't have this choice anymore.
You don't have this choice anymore. But I didn't think I could afford them. But guess what?
You made it work.
You made it work.
And I believe that we can make it work, but boy, I'm telling you, that's the struggles that my family went through made me not want to deal with that, because it is indeed a struggle for everyone. The kids are going to notice.
Now, God was good to us because Patty and I both worked in ministry.
Right.
And God provided a daycare that my wife could work in and be an associate director with.
Oh, that's good.
And keep her kids in at the same time.
Okay.
Because I couldn't, as a minister, I could not earn enough. Not all of us are Joel Osteen that can afford a $17 million house.
Yeah.
But I could not afford to keep her at home to raise her kids. So God provided.
Yeah.
But not everyone is fortunate.
Right. Yeah. Well, fortunately, it worked out for you guys, and you've got a beautiful family, and I don't know what else to say. You know, no one's in trouble, and
my kids are good.
Yeah, I mean that's always good.
In spite of me, they turned out okay.
Yeah, but you're overall a good person. Overall.
On their good days, they may say that. On their bad days, I'm not so sure.
No. Ask them where they'd be without you. They wouldn't be here.
They wouldn't be here.
That's right.
True.
They had to have you. One of the things I found interesting about... oh, you done with yours? Okay. One of the things I found interesting about the new regime going in, Speaker Johnson announces a policy barring trans women from Capitol bathrooms.
I was going to do that, but I thought, we have a speaker, so.
Yeah, but I don't think that she'd have a problem with that. She was pretty open. She took things pretty well, and but the thing that is more interesting to me about that is not just that, but that one of the Senate, I think, is trans.
It's the House of Representatives.
The House of Representatives is trans.
She's a first trans woman, McBride, I think her name is.
Yeah, I think I might have.
Sally McBride? Not Sally McBride, that was an astronaut.
I didn't grab the link for that for some reason. I grabbed everything but the link, so I have to.
So there are unisex bathrooms in the Capitol, and then sex-specific bathrooms.
They have unisex in there?
Yes, they have family bathrooms where anybody can use. A man can go in with a kid, woman could go in with a kid.
Okay, well, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Then.
So what Johnson said was it has to be your biological sex to
Yes.
go in one of the gender specific bathrooms, but there's enough family rooms around that it can take care of the needs of, I believe her name's McBride. I could be wrong on that. But anyhow, and this woman that is the new representative is taking the high road, and she's being
Apparently, she has a bathroom in her own office,
right.
so she can take that high road.
She's taking the high road, which I appreciate because a lot of people would not do that.
Right. Yeah, I think she's just trying to not
Rock the boat.
Rock the boat. Nancy Mace.
Mace.
No, that's representative introduced. No, comes days. Oh, that's not right. Johnson's statement, which was made Transgender Day of Remembrance, recognized annually to memorialize trans people who have died due to anti-trans violence, comes days after Representative Nancy Mace introduced the bill to bar transgender people. So that McBride is right. You got the right one. McBride is the she disagreed with the new rule, but will abide by it. So
Taking the high road.
I just kind of thought that was odd. That the first thing he wants to do is do that. I would have thought there would have been something more important than that. But
Well, he was. Can I be honest about it?
Yeah.
He was forced into it by Mays.
oh, okay, that makes sense.
He didn't. In other words, he had two positions. His first position was, we respect all people,
Yes.
and he wasn't going to make an issue out of it.
Okay.
Then his second response the next day was, we are going to make a ruling that you have to use your latrine of, that's a military term,
Yes.
latrine of your biological birth. So something happened behind closed doors.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to do that at first.
I found that interesting. Also, we talked about this slightly last week about Susan Smith, the one that killed her kids.
Yes,
Her parole board denied parole.
thank God.
And parole, says here, parole board denies parole to Susan Smith, convicted of 1994 murders of her children. The case gained wide attention alongside O.J. Simpson trial, with Smith originally pinning the murders on a black gunman. So she is still in jail, as it should be. So I just think that finally we did something right. So Pennsylvania woman wrongly declared dead. How would you like it if you woke up and you were dead? This woman
woke
here,
up on a coroner's table about ready to be.
a Pennsylvania woman just discovered that she had been mistakenly declared dead. Renee Williams, 66, of Philadelphia, got the unwelcome news during a recent medical appointment. They couldn't get my medical insurance. She said she tried several places, and they said it was inactive. They said I was deceased. So you're trying to get medical help, and they said, no, you're dead. Her name ended up in the Social Security Administration's death master file. She suspects the error happened after her husband died in August. So not only did she lose her husband, but then she
lost herself.
Yeah. So, and supposedly it's not a unique situation. Williams is not the first person to be incorrectly declared dead by the government. According to most recent available data, as many as 7,000 Americans wrongly end up in the death master file each year.
7,000.
7,000. That's a lot of mistakes. even if you broke it up into the 50 states, that's a lot of mistakes.
That's a lot of mistakes.
So that's crazy stuff. The office of Inspector General's memorandum says that that's an improvement. Erroneous data reports have decreased by 45% since 2011. 45%. That means it's double this. Like 14,000 people a year are told that they're dead, and they don't believe them. So that's just it's insane. Let's see here. This is a video that I found on X. The man steals his sister's baby to prove that she's not paying attention. It's supposed to be quicker than this. There it is. Okay, so we're going to... So here she is. She's rocking it back and forth. Now, first off, I would know the weight difference of the cart. But she didn't even notice.
She's on her phone, right?
Yeah. It took her a while. She's like freaking out. Someone stole my baby. Someone stole my baby.
Looked under the cart.
Yeah.
It's underneath.
Like maybe he'll be hiding under there, That baby has been known to be a prankster. All right, next. Oh, okay. This is really strange. Parents sue Harrisburg school for cutting 20 inches from an 8-year-old's daughter's hair. Now, they had to cut something off because they got, it says here, parents filed a lawsuit against the Harrisburg private school after one of the teachers allegedly cut a student's hair without permission. The parents, Darren and Julia Smith, filed a lawsuit on January 24th on behalf of the 8-year-old daughter. According to the lawsuit, the teacher at St. Margaret Mary School cut a piece of Velcro out of the girl's hair in music class November 17, 2023. The complaint alleges that the teacher cut 20 inches of hair from that student, who's African American, and never consented to have her hair cut. The child had kept her hair long as part of her family religious beliefs in correlation with allowing natural features and attributes provided by God to grow naturally. Is there such a thing?
Never heard of that before.
I mean, I don't know.
Michael, there's all kinds of religious beliefs out there.
Yeah, but that's
I've never heard of that.
That's really a weird one, I think. The suit also notes that the student's natural long hair is a significant part of her culture. So according to the complaint, the girl's parents emailed the school the same day of the incident. The complaint comes that the school never responded. On November 20th, 2023, the parents were reportedly able to reach the school over the phone. According to the complaint, the school promises to follow up and never did. The school, they want probably millions of dollars for this.
I think that's their religion.
Yeah, that's probably it. Doesn't say how much they're suing for, but that's probably it. Jeez.
They were looking for an excuse and then they got one.
Yeah. Everyone tries to find the easy way out. This is kind of cool. 50 Years of Lucy. Sunday will mark 50 years since the discovery of the Lucy fossil in Ethiopia, a 3.2 million year-old specimen whose rare completeness has made it the reference point for subsequent hominin fossil discoveries. 3.5 foot tall, 40% complete Australia. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. But the paleontologist first discovered her elbow November 24th, 1974, at an excavation in Hadar, Ethiopia, eventually identifying and arranging over 40 skeletal parts. We have, hopefully, a picture. Oh, okay.
That's Lucy.
That's Lucy, huh? Well, here's Lucy. So basically, I guess this is what they found, is the pieces that go to it. It's pretty cool.
That is, of course, if you believe in evolution.
I don't know what I believe. I don't know. I mean, the Bible.
I mean, it's pretty persuasive if
Yeah.
you believe in evolution. If you don't believe in evolution, then you discount.
Well, it could be just an ape.
Could be just an ape. That's the thing.
I mean, they're not really saying that it was a human. By the, I mean.
Well, it wasn't human. No one's claiming it was human.
Yeah.
But it was a missing link.
Yeah, and it says 3.5 foot, 40% complete. So I don't know. I think it's kind of cool.
Humanoid.
Also, in other news, this is interesting. Oldest direct evidence of hot water activity on Mars found. New Curtin University-led research has discovered what may be the oldest direct evidence of ancient hot water activity on Mars, revealing that the planet may have been habitable at some point in the past.
Who knows?
Who knows? It says the study analyzed a 4.45 billion year old zircon grain from the famous Martian meteorite NWA 7034, known as Black Beauty, and found the geochemical fingerprints of water-rich fluids. I don't know. We've talked about whether or not there's aliens and other planets and all that stuff. Who knows? I don't know. But I think it's cool that they may
Do
have
you know how
found.
many scientific papers are written a year that nobody reads?
Oh. This is the first one I've read in my entire life, so that would be... I'm sorry, second one, because the first one was the one right before that. So I don't know. I don't know what I believe as far as that goes, but, I do believe in the higher power of some sort. And, but I don't know. I just don't even claim to know. Here you go. Wisconsin deputy sheriff fields a 911 call from a 10-year-old. You know what his problem was? He needed help with his math homework.
So he called the police.
Yeah, why not? So let's see here. Yeah, there it is. 911 call. 911, can I help you? Can you tell me the square root of... So the Wisconsin Sheriff's Office is used to responding to emergency requests by one of the deputy sheriffs. And he got a call from a 10-year-old, and he was asking for help. So I hope that person knew something about math.
Yeah, that's true.
That would. Oh, look at those. Oh, I'm turned on by the screens. Look at those screens. I'd like to have that set up. Anyway, let's see if the actual question was. Let's see. I'm sorry to waste your time, the child said in the clip. Well, I'm not good at math, sweetie, but I can try. What is it? Dividing a number by 10 is the same as finding 1/10 of the number. Use the phrase 1/10 of, or the phrase 10 times to complete each statement about 1,000. Oh, so what's 1/10 of 1,000, or what's 10 times 1,000? Okay, I could do that. They didn't ask me though. So after hearing it, she said, "Oh, I'm afraid I'm no good at that." Really? You don't know that? You shouldn't be working. You should be staying at home having kids. Oh, that's not hard. You know that, right?
Well, the one answer is 10, the other one's 10,000.
Yeah. That's crazy.
No, the one
100.
answer is 100.
100, and the other is 10,000. Yeah. That's sad. I wouldn't admit. I would never say that. Oh no kid called me. No kid called me. This one is interesting. These are the feel good stories. A good Samaritan gave his shoes to a blind passenger who lost one shoe down a gap while rushing to board. So I guess he only had one shoe, and they decided to give him their shoes. I thought that's kind of cool. I wouldn't do that because I need my shoes. I like being barefoot, but not in the city. So that was kind of weird. Then we got oh, this is cool. I would have loved to do this for my dad. The guy gifted his dad a restored Chevy Camaro for his 65th birthday because his dad was forced to sell his dream car decades ago to raise his family. So the guy gave his father a Camaro.
That's cool.
That's really nice. I mean, I would do that for my dad. Well, he never had a Camaro, but he did have some cars that are probably worth some money nowadays because he always had old cars. So, and actually, my first car was a 66 Plymouth Fury, and my second car was a 66 Plymouth Fury. I'll bet you.
I had a Plymouth Fury.
Did you?
Fury 3.
Yeah, that's what I had. I wonder, just curiosity.
Used to call it my cop car.
Is Plymouth even around anymore?
No, I don't believe.
Worth. Let's see if it. Wow. You'll pay $17,000 for a '66 Plymouth Fury 3 in good condition. 17. Those things were probably $900 when they were new. That's funny. Oh man, that's amazing. The highest price was $36,750 in the past 3 years. Do you ever watch those car auctions?
No.
Oh my gosh, you would just. They're on Pluto TV. If you ever get a chance, if you ever watch, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. Or one of those streaming services. It's either Pluto or one of those. But you can watch auctions of classic cars, old cars, and I'd see like Corvettes going for $200,000. Like, this is insane. And I've actually seen a car go for over $1 million. I think the Batman car didn't go for that much. But these people are paying big bucks for these cars. I don't know. I'll pay $100,000, $125,000 for my Tesla, but I would never pay that for an old car. Never, ever, 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 ever. I don't know how people do that. I mean, I realize it's cool, but it's not that cool. I just don't even see any reason to do that. But some people do it. Oh, man. All right. Let's see here. Oh, this is supposed to be a record traveling Thanksgiving. I guess people feel better about their money or something because everybody's going traveling. 80 million Americans expected to travel over Thanksgiving this year.
That's a lot of
million people. Which is a perfect lead-in for the next question. Tell me things you were thankful for.
I am thankful for my Lord. I'm thankful for my salvation, but I'm thankful for my family. They have stuck by me through thin and thin.
Thin and thin. Well, that says a lot. I can honestly say that a couple years ago I wouldn't know how to answer this question.
That's because of the losses you've had.
Well, I mean, a couple years ago when we've done this, I've said the basic things. I'm thankful for this, thankful for that. But right now, I'm in a weird part in my life because like I said earlier, I think you were here. I don't think you were. When I said earlier, you might have left, actually. You may not have heard this. When Ken died, my life really flip-flopped. I mean, big. All the friends that I had then are not here. All the people that I talked to, they're not part of my life. Wrestling wasn't part of my life at that point, from 2012 to 2000, till this year, actually. Everybody that I knew is different now. So my inner circle now is a lot different than my inner circle then. You're in my life now on a regular basis. I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful for her, for Christine. I'm very thankful for my dogs, my house, my life, and all of the things that I thought were important to me then have changed. And it's, I think, for the better. If Ken hadn't died, I wouldn't have gone down the road that I'm down now. I would have continued. I wouldn't have been in acting. I would have, well, unless my script sold or something. But I had no interest in doing that. My interest was only in the stuff that I've written. And for some reason, I think I was pushed down this path, whether I liked it or not, and I wasn't. And I feel like I've been pushed down this path, kicking and screaming to a certain degree, because I didn't want to give up that band that I spent so much time with. But there's got to be a reason, a higher power, higher motivation for why I'm going in this direction. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm headed in this direction at a fast pace, because I'm now in 2 businesses, and I'm in acting and all this other stuff that I'm doing. It's my life's a lot different than it was, and I'm thankful for it, because it showed me that my life wasn't over when Ken died, like it wasn't over when Pam died. Pam's birthday Sunday was rough, but I got through it a little easier than last year. Every year it's gotten easier. But I am thankful for Christine. She's really done a lot for me.
Do you tell her enough? Do you tell her enough?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think I do. I appreciate a lot of things that I took for granted. And, yeah, there's a lot of things that I appreciate. I'm thankful for my relationship with my sister. I've never really had a relationship with my sister. I had a friendship with my sister in the 80s, 90s, in the 90s. But we went apart and didn't have really anything to do with each other. For the most part, we didn't have much to do with each other ever, because she was a lot younger than I was, and when I went into college, I was trying to figure out my own crap. And as I got older and older, I just had more crap to deal with, and I really didn't deal with any of my family members. But I'm thankful that she's in my life, and thankful that for the friendship that I made through VIP. My closest friends, Tina, and Marissa, and Maggie, and Cynthia, but mostly those 3. And you know, I think that I'm happier than I've ever been. I'm not compulsively overeating. I'm thankful for that, because that was my life. My life was, something that I always felt I'd always be this big, and I'd die this big. And after Ken died, some kind of switch or something went off in my head, and I didn't do that. I actually kept myself busy, and I wasn't on a weight program. I didn't change my eating habits, but what I did was I changed my portions. And I decided that I was going to learn portioning. And it's weird. It's really weird that where everything is now versus then. But I'm very thankful for all of that. And yeah, that's it. That's where I'm at. So.
Well, I'm thankful for this show, too.
This show is.
I look forward to it.
This show is so much better now because I got someone that's interacting with it. It's someone that has opinions, someone that isn't going to be a yes man. And if you don't believe it, you're not going to say you believe it. You're gonna say, no, that's not quite right. You know, and that's good. That's what I want. That's what this show's about. The show's not about, hey, it's his show, I'm going to be, agreeing with everything he says. No, I don't want that. That's not what the show is. The show originally was professional wrestling, which, it's a lot different than it is now. But I like it now because to me, it's interesting to talk about these topics and not always talk about, where'd you get your start? How did you do that? What's your worst match? What's your best? It was boring. After a couple of years, I found myself going the easy route because it was all easy. It was the same stuff over and over again.
Then let's take this to the next level, Mike.
I want to, but I got to find the next level first. I've been looking. And actually, I'll tell you more about that later. But I am looking at things. I'm looking for opportunities, so something will happen. Something's going to happen. It's a different world right now, so I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to take advantage of my found respect for myself that I didn't know I didn't have, the confidence I have in myself, which I know I didn't have, but I pretended I did. But the thing is that I've grown a lot in the past couple of years, probably more than any 3 years of my life. I've grown in the past 3 years, just because all the things that have been opportunities that I've said yes to, that I never would have said yes to before. And so there's always reasons. I believe there's a reason Ken died at his age. And I think it's like I said, I wouldn't have changed my way of doing things if he were alive. I'd still be doing the same stuff I was doing before. So there's a reason that I was supposed to go this road. And I'm never going to know that reason.
Probably never.
But I'm happy. It's weird that I'm happy. I'm not used to being happy. I mean, really, truly happy. I was content before, but I think I'm happy now. I don't know. I feel like I'm achieving something. I feel like I'm being respected by people, and that was something I don't think I've had a whole lot of before. I think I portrayed it, but I don't think I got it. I don't think I really, like the place I used to work, they used to like me, but as the years went by and I got older, they realized what they were paying me, and they had to get rid of me. Like they got rid of all the older people. And I think that they played a lot of games, and that messed with my head, because I knew I performed well. I wouldn't have gotten retired at my age if I didn't perform well, or wouldn't have been able to retire if I didn't perform well. I would have had to retire or find another job, but I couldn't imagine looking for a job at my age. So, anyway, that's all what I mean, there's lots of things other than that I'm thankful for, but I am thankful for my faith, by the way. I know that's something you probably were thinking to yourself, but yeah, a lot of things have changed in the past couple of years. And if I had a chance to not let him die, I still wouldn't have let him die, because I would have wanted him to be around.
But then you wouldn't be who you
I
are.
wouldn't be this person that I am now, but that's the selfish part of me. I wouldn't want him to die. I wouldn't have wanted my dream of Uncle Sam Band being, you know, what they probably were never going to be. And, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of material you have if you don't get it in the right hands. It's kind of like acting. It doesn't matter how good of an actor you are if you're not able to get to the right people. So, I don't know. That's where I'm
By the
at.
way, your commercial was excellent.
Wasn't it funny? That was.
You were very believable.
Yeah, I thought it was. It was kind of funny because I sat in that position. I don't know how long, spitting out lines that they were feeding me, because he just kept coming up. How about this? Let's try this. And he said, "You make up one. Okay, try another one." And we just were spitballing. We had the script. We did the script, but then we did the other stuff too. We ended up pretty much going on the other stuff. So the script, he didn't stick to the script, but I really liked it. Did you see Youngest Partisan yet?
No.
Oh.
I forgot about it.
Oh.
I will watch it, Mike.
Okay. It's really,
Out of sight, out of mind. You know, it went
Well,
up above the line.
yeah, it's really, it's a good movie.
I want to watch it.
The acting is not, I don't think the acting is the best I've ever seen, but the premise, the fact that it's a true story, it is good. It is worth watching. So, whenever you have time.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Other than that, I think it's time to shut the show down.
Wrap it up.
Happy Thanksgiving to you,
Happy Thanksgiving to
and
you.
I will see you next week yet.
Yeah, next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the 10th.
So, all right, we will see you guys next week, and thank you for checking us out. And I guess I gotta play this. See, I'm not even thinking straight.